then for sure.
All right.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 360. It's a very special episode, one of the best systems ever made. So I have to go around here. We had to have a special guest on tonight. Actually, is doing quite a bit to be here as he's on the road, but he said, you know what, I'll stop by for an hour or so. We have Gene Park joining us live from New York, actually. You guys are out. What are you guys out there for?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I am actually here in New York City, reporting live from New York City. Saturday Night Live, right? This is
Yep.
real now, right? You know, I work at the Washington Post, of course, but I also freelance with Last Stand Media and Sacred Symbols. And so we actually have our live show tomorrow night in New York City at the SVA Theater. Sold out show, sold out, oversold actually. So looking forward to seeing everyone in New York City. But for now, yeah, I just left dinner with the crew and just came back here to cheat on the podcast with another podcast, namely yours.
Oh, the live show sounds like it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow. So I think they posted one up a little while ago, but they actually filmed them and everything, right?
Yep. We'll be filming them, so they'll be up. This is the 300th episode
awesome.
of Sacred Symbols. So
wow, okay, great, good stuff. We'll check it out when it goes live and everything. Awesome.
Yeah,
We also have returning from GDC. We have MVG.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Good to have MVG. How was your trip, MVG?
Very, very busy. A lot of meetings, John. The company had over 100 meetings in 3 days, and let me tell you,
Whoa.
Gene Park will know exactly what GDC is like. You're walking around San Francisco from hotel to hotel. I was doing like 20,000 steps a day, man. It was crazy, but very busy, but very constructive. Had a good time. Met some new people, some friends, and yeah, GDC is always good fun.
you lose some weight, MVG? Walking around?
I probably
walking
dropped
that
a couple pounds, OJ, but like I think I just ate it all back at Mel's Diner there on the corner of
Mel's Diner. Oh,
yeah,
my God.
Gene Park knows what I'm talking about.
God.
Let's go.
Had the old prime rib and the Reuben.
Yeah, the
Good
sandwiches.
time.
Oh my God.
It's a shame. It's a shame that's on the same weekend as PAX East. Like it probably makes it difficult. People got to decide where they're going.
Well, some part of our company had to leave on Wednesday and then fly over to PAX, so they were kind of doing both shows. They got to figure that out because, like, for the last couple of years, GDC and PAX has kind of overlapped, so they have to separate them out. I think it's really, really difficult, especially if you're a company that's involved with both, right? And there's quite a bit of overlap, obviously, because there are some companies out there at PAX right now.
Yeah, so it looked packed there. There are a lot of videos, a lot of pictures, all kinds of stuff going on online there. So, but good to have MVG back from GDC. We have, of course, Ryan with us, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It's always good as always.
Yeah, you were on that PlayStation 5 update. I threw it in there just because you were on that immediately. I looked at your video and I saw the time and it was 4:44 in the morning.
Yeah, I noticed that you pointed that out. Thank you for.
I was like, this dude is dedicated.
I'm always up late, so I just saw it. Like, I was about to go to bed, and I saw it prompted on the home screen, and I was like, well, this is unusual. And then I figured out what it was, and I was like, oh, well, this is a good chance to be one of the first out there. So.
Hey, came together. It worked out. It was good stuff. Like I threw that in there as a topic though, so we can at least let the good people know what you found there. We have Josie with us, of course.
Yep, happy to be here.
Old school, holding the microphone. I like it.
Oh yeah, I forgot the whole setup pretty much on the road, so we're going.
Hey, whatever gets it done. And we've got OJ, of course, holding up the pre-show.
Yeah, good pre-show. Good to be here. Shout outs to everybody. Let's have a good show tonight, man. Good to see Gene here too, man. Welcome.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Good to see you.
And we got Evan. Evan is here. Yep. Which actually, Evan is going to be quite important in one of these first topics because something tells me I'm going to go to you. You're going to say 3 words. We're going to come back. And you're going to tell me you're like 50 hours in the Dragon's Dogma 2.
How much hours?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and tell us how much time you got in Dragon's Dogma 2. Go ahead. Tell us.
Hang on.
Okay.
Only 18.
Just came out yesterday. That's pretty good. Hey, that's good. We'll need you for some of the thoughts on Dragon's Dogma 2 outside of all the discussion around the microtransactions and stuff. Although I think Gene, you played Dragon's Dogma 2 as well.
I have. I'm not as how many hours did you play?
18. Only 18.
Oh, okay. I played like 12. So yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. We had Dragon's Dogma 2 that came out, Rise of the Ronin came out, and Princess Peach all on the same day. So we'll be giving thoughts on a couple of those. Rise of the Ronin, we'll sketchy on that one. We'll see. But then I also threw in information around Shinji Mikami, who formed a new studio. And we just kind of found out about this through proxy. We had the PSVR 2 halting production due to apparently backed up supply. The FTC files lawsuit against Apple, which I think there's some Apple users in here. In fact, I think one is like directly in the middle right here. Okay, so Josie, and I know Ryan is like completely sucked into that ecosystem. Oh man, it's
Such a good ecosystem.
There, okay. And we did have some Xbox handheld information came up again, and it seems like they might make a run at this thing. So we'll go around, and I did throw in Gene because we were having you on. I did throw in the Kotaku stuff as well because I was interested in kind of your take on that with some of the
Kotaku.
publication and press side as well. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Right.
So let's just go. We're gonna go right to Princess Peach Showtime. OJ, you picked it up. Josie, you got it.
Yep.
Ryan took a picture of it.
I reviewed it.
Okay, Gene, you played it too.
All right.
Oh wow. Okay, good stuff. A bunch of people played it. Ryan, did you open it up yet and play it?
Yeah, I did maybe an hour, not much.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, what do we think of this game so far? Because the demo, I'll admit, didn't sell me, but people say the full game, there's more to it.
Demo's not good.
There you go.
The demo shows the worst part of the game because when I played the parts that were in the demo in the full game, I was like, I'm not sure if this game is that good. And then I played the rest of the levels, and I was like, oh, this got a lot better immediately, pretty quickly. So.
Okay. So there was more than because the demo I think was just it's weird. You figure like they would have put a better foot forward for the demo, but all right. Josie? How much of it did you play? What'd you think?
I'm about like also an hour in. I haven't played, had a ton of time, but I had a good time with it. I don't think the demo represents the quality of the game at all. Like it kind of, like Gene said, took the worst parts of the game and like put them out there and like none of the cool stuff, So
yeah, it's just the first 2 levels. So it was like the most basic thing. It's like getting a demo of the Cuphead tutorial, and then just going from there, So
yeah, but I had a really good. I haven't gotten super far into it, but I really love the theming. I love that you're walking around this whole theater thing. I like the sort of pretend toads. What are those called, OJ?
Which ones?
Pretend toads.
The toads that aren't toads. They're like a different thing, but they're basically toads.
I don't know the names of anything in this. All I know is sour bunch and a bunch of stupid looking people that roll around like little.
Yeah, the little
sparklers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the names of anything.
I don't know the little goober guys. They're kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super far into it, but I'm actually having a really good time, and I like that Peach finally got her own game, and I think it's quite a bit better than the first one on the DS.
It's not saying much, but that's true. It is definitely better than.
I appreciate that they don't use the womanly emotions at the forefront.
I think that was definitely something they were like, yeah, that's not happening ever again.
Imagine if they made a sequel though, and that's all it was.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, Peach goes through puberty, and it's like just everything is like to the extreme.
It's like Nintendo's like, what's feminism?
What's
I don't know. What's feminism 101? What's a girl boss?
So you would say it's better than what we saw with the demo, but like how good would you say? What do you think, Ryan, of the first hour? What'd you think?
So I didn't play the demo, so I don't remember what the demo was showcasing. I think it's like the most inoffensively.
For people who don't know, the demo is sword fighting and the cake Peach, right?
Okay, is that what it was?
Yeah. I think those are just the 2 levels, right? So
just those 2 levels.
Yeah.
If it was just that, then I could maybe see where you're coming from. I thought the ninja level was the most fun initially.
Yeah,
but it's like the most inoffensive. Like, this is okay. That's
kind of what that's why I keep hearing it. It's fine.
I'll probably see it through. It's because it's only like 5 hours to do the whole thing if you're not like really being
it's about maybe some people beat it in 7. Like if you see like those full playthroughs, I think Game explained that they beat it in 7. My friend Party Man, he's doing like 100% run, and he says that's about maybe 15 hours, 12 to 15 for like 100% run or something like that. So yeah, it's not a super long game.
That's not bad. I was actually surprised that it wasn't Either this is more a reflection on my part, but I was like, I'm surprised it's not as easy as I thought it was, just in the sense of like, I like right away, I like was missing some of those, whatever those blue things are that you collect. Because most of them seemed totally out in the open. Then by the time I did like the third level, I'm like, oh, I actually missed 2 of them somehow. So it's like there's something there to go back to if you want to try and wrap up everything.
It's kind of like Kirby level difficulty, I would
Yes,
say.
exactly.
Good way to put it.
Exactly.
Yeah, very, very much like Kirby. I think I'm about like 4 or 5 hours or so. So I've done a number of the levels and replayed everything so I can get, like the 100% and all the different outfits and stuff. But yeah, it's the most just okay, good game. Just like it's like the 7 out of 10. It's like a perfect 7 out of 10. It's not anything that's like super crazy that's gonna like blow you away, but you're gonna have like fun playing. Like it's just gonna be a fun game. There's a lot of different type of levels and different stuff. It's gonna make you smile. Like it's charm. It has like a ton of charm. Seeing Princess Peach in her own game is super cool. And I'm hoping that like this actually like balloons into like where it becomes like a bigger franchise and they can put more time and effort into it. Like Luigi's Mansion, like I remember when that game first came out, like people were not talking about Luigi's Mansion like to be like what it is now, People were just thinking like it's like this goofy little side game,
That's true.
Side Mario game. That's what people thought about Luigi's Mansion. And then it actually ended up being something that's like super big like side franchise, I guess, right? So I'm hoping that actually turns into the same thing because like there's some really, really cool ideas. The ninja level super fun. The cowgirl Peach level's funner than I thought it would be. And some of the boss battles are cool. And yeah, like I said, just replaying the levels, making sure that you get all the little star crystal thingies is fun too. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it's just like a cool 7 out of 10 type of game. And yeah, it's not like a super long RPG. I've been playing like all just super long RPGs. So it's cool to play something like a little bit different, that's not like a 100-hour RPG,
Yeah, I don't think the budget's super high on this game or anything. So, I mean, honestly, they'd be happy with like a couple, like a 1 or 2 million sold on it. And they'd be like, oh, good. All right, that works. So it is interesting to think that it could maybe grow into a franchise on its own as well. So
It'd be great to see that. I mean, just like as a once upon a time little girl, that'd be really cool for a lot of people out there,
I think a lot of little girls will love this game. So
yeah.
One thing I'll say about Peach 2 is that they get really creative with some of the scenarios. So you think like, oh, it's just going to be like an action beat 'em up, right? Like when, can I talk about spoilers, I guess, of certain costumes, I guess, levels?
I mean, it seems like a pretty serious story going on over there. So
yeah, exactly. So
you're good.
So like when she's the superhero, like you would expect like, oh, she's just going to be punching bad guys. But throughout the level, like she's not just doing that. She's actually like helping people. So she's playing the role of a superhero, like in the level. So like as the story goes on. So it's really, really interesting. They do some interesting concepts. And my favorite costume is the figure skater.
The figure skater. Okay, yeah, nice. Well, how many costumes are there like I was trying to picture. I was thinking like 6 costumes. Is there more than that?
There are 10.
Oh wow, okay. That's
so as many vocations as there are in Dragon's Dogma 2. So.
There's 10 costumes, but the game's like 6 or 7 hours long. That sounds like something where they just get you from one to the next pretty quickly. So you're not just sitting in one area for too long. And
it's
very short levels.
Okay, yeah, you can speed run this thing and probably like if somebody's really good at the game, they can probably speed run it in maybe like a couple hours. Like once they get like really good at the game,
one thing I wish they really did with this game is that like the powers like build on itself. Like, how like Kirby Forgotten Land, like you could upgrade the power and it was like so much cooler at the end.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be so cool if like we go from Cowgirl Peach and then like the last one she gets like a pistol or something, like something crazy. I don't know. It's a cowgirl, like
strapped Peach.
Yeah. Something cool,
Like 50 Cent Peach.
Yeah, she pulls like guac and she just goes crazy.
When I got to the Western when I got to the Western level, for a second, I was like, what is this costume going to be? Because they're not going to give her a gun. And I was like, what are they going to, and then I was like, lasso him. Oh, okay. That's probably a lot more.
I can understand.
Kirby has a gun, actually.
Kirby did have a gun.
Yeah, Kirby has rifles.
But Kirby's a murderer. We all know
Kirby
Kirby's
like the kind of thing that would have
we
a
don't
gun.
know much about Peach yet. She could be.
But the thing about this game, that's why I want this to turn into a franchise. Josie, what you said is a awesome thing, right? Like to evolve the powers and it be a bit more. But that's what I think. Like money was the issue.
That's such
here,
a good
right?
idea.
Like
That's
they're
such a
not
good
going to
idea.
spend the type of time to do that. So if they make a sequel, they can really flesh out the mechanics of this game. You know?
Yeah, this is a very simple game, but like as Joyce pointed out, there's like so much potential that they could develop on, but then they decided to keep it really, really simple. So like you would repeat some of the costumes, and then like that's just over, you know.
Okay.
And then like because it's only 2 buttons, because you know, and the important thing to remember about Prince of Peach Showtime is that it actually is Balan Wonderworld, but good. Because they decided to because they decided to use one more button than Balan Wonderworld allows you to use.
Just needed one more button. That one button.
Just needed the one more button, and then Balan
button.
Wonderworld would have been not bad, but you know that's what this is.
Do want to move over to Rise of Ronin, and I don't think anyone really played it. I played an hour of it so
played
far.
No, John, I'm like I did the character creator and then like the first initial like combat scenario, so I didn't get very far.
I was supposed to be the one on it, and I wasn't. So.
I played 3 hours of it, so there's that.
Oh, okay, there we go. Gene's just like holding up across the board here. Wow. Okay. What did you get a chance to play it, OJ?
I watched IGN's review of it, and it actually convinced me to get the game at some point. So I will pick it up. I like a lot of the stuff in the game. It seems like my type of game, so I'm definitely going to pick it up. So I know about the mechanics and the systems and how it works and what's in there based off of the review. So I can talk about it, but I have not played it though yet.
Yeah, I played like the first hour. Like in the beginning, they have you go on like a ship and stuff with your partner basically, and after that is basically where I am at this point. But they did kind of show you the combat, and after playing through Wolong and Sekiro, it does kind of remind me of a combination of the two, because it is still kind of a rhythm game, as I'm sure you kind of see, Gene, where you're trying to time out combos, and you have like this parry that I don't know if it's just me, but the parry window is probably the smallest I've seen so far in a Team Ninja game. Like it feels very, very like fine. Like you have to be right on it immediately. But so far, like the visuals got kind of beaten down online. I don't think I've ever necessarily been impressed or blown away by Team Ninja stuff recently in terms of the visuals. It's always been the gameplay and how the combat feels. And at least initially it feels like a Team Ninja game. It feels like Neo, really, if I had to pick one game. But you said you played 3 hours, Gene. I feel like this is a game this game looks like it'd take quite a while to get through. But what was your initial impression on it?
Yeah, the top level, again, only 3 hours, so so please don't take this as an overall judgment of the game, of course. But from what I played, it's a good game. It's just not a very interesting game, because they're not really doing anything new or interesting. So,
right.
But like OJ said, like I could see myself playing it when there's less interesting games out right now. You know, it's just releasing at such a bad time. It looks like a decent game that's just coming out, and it probably needs some time to breathe. So it totally feels like Horizon, like at a certain level, where it's just like, here's Breath of the Wild. They're doing all kinds of new shit, and here's Horizon, which is fairly by the numbers open world, and then here's Dragon's Dogma, which is offering something really, really weird and new, and you know, even Power World, you know, and other games that have come out, you know, Helldivers.
What world?
Power World.
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
I'm joking.
But like, you know, like even Helldivers 2 is doing something interesting into the multiplayer game, right? Versus like Rise of the Ronin, very, very by the numbers open world game. They really, really stuck to Team Ninja really stuck to the rules of what it takes, because this is their first open world game. They've never made one before. So
that's a good point.
You know, so why not stick with the basics? And it's a very, very basic game from what I can tell. Beautiful scenery, beautiful locations. I love it, which is why it makes me want to go back. I actually want to explore the world more, and it's a pretty big world. But you know, that being said, you know, my bias is that I do not like Neo games. I think they're good.
Okay.
I think they're good games, and I fucking hate them. So,
what did you play? Did you play Wolong?
I did. I tried to play Wolong, and I got out immediately. I was like, okay.
Well, see, I played all the way through it. I actually liked Wolong, and when the first thing you do in Rise of the Ronin is you run up and basically put, like in Wolong, you put the flag down.
Yeah.
Kind of do that right away at Rise of the Ronin. I was like, okay, yep, this is Team Ninja. Okay,
yeah.
So it's I think I probably like it just because I enjoyed Wolong, but I see what you're saying. There's just a lot of very interesting games out right now. Like I'm playing Rise of the Ronin, I am going through it. I'm like, I kind of feel like I want to play Rebirth right now and get that done.
Exactly.
But,
Rebirth is a far more interesting game. You know, the storytelling is a lot more
Yeah.
interesting. You know, the structure of the game is more interesting. You know, it's just more engaging overall. So
I think this is a good game that people will probably pick up at the end of the year when it's like on sale somewhat. I could see that. That could be an easy recommendation at that point. But I mean, who knows? Maybe there'll be even more interesting games out then.
From what I saw though, from the review, IGN's review, it gets a lot more complex with its mechanics and systems.
I did hear that
as
gets
you
really
go
good later.
on.
Yeah.
It gets like and that's what sold me on it. What sold me on it was the fact that there are a lot more mechanics and systems in terms of like style switching, stance switching, things like that you get, different type of weapons. And that was actually one of the negatives, was that there's just too much junk and gear that you get in the game, and like the item management is not necessarily great, and it's just like a bunch of just useless junk being thrown at you most of the time, when you're just going to stick with a few different type of like high quality weapons once you get later into the game. And then some of the other things they do with the story is really well done with the they have like a mechanic to where you can like go back and do different decisions and things, which is a normal. They advertised it, so it's not like a spoiler or anything. And like you can actually instead of doing like multiple playthroughs, you can kind of just see what would happen in different ones. So that's a pretty cool thing with the game. So that sold me on the game, and then the mechanics later on, and like how difficult it is. It's not an easy game either. Like it gets way more difficult later down the line too.
So they would drown you in items and weapons and stuff in Wolong, and that was really annoying. So when I heard that in the review, I was like, "Oh, really? They do that again?"
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's why I fucking hate Neo, because every Neo game does that. Stranger of Paradise does that. Team Ninja games do that. Like, their loot systems are weird and crazy, and I don't understand why they keep doing it.
They need to build better tools to just manage the loot. They need to build better tools to manage the loot, and all that. If they do that, then it'll be okay. But the tools, unfortunately, are terrible. You know, to even manage.
I did like, though, very early on, they have you, so you're fighting against like your sensei or whatever, your master, and midway through they tell you to change to your blade brother or sister or whatever, and you change mid battle to the other character. That I thought was really cool for Team Ninja to approach that way, where you just on the fly in battle change between characters. We've had that in other games, but something with kind of the mechanics that Team Ninja usually does, it seemed like that could really open some things up later on. So that part really got me going, okay.
That's the stuff that I imagine is going to get a lot more complicated as you go along with the game, and that's the stuff that I'm most interested in. That's probably the most interesting thing about the game, you know?
Yeah. So I'm interested to get into it when I can. That's the thing, because Rebirth right now, and I will admit, out of that and Dragon's Dogma 2, I would like to play Dogma 2, but we will get to that one, because that is quite the topic, actually.
Too many games, man. Too many games.
I know, but Dragon's Dogma 2 even goes beyond that. That gets into like Capcom in general. Capcom over the last 10 to 15 years, and it's that topic spiraled out of control very quickly. But while you are here, I did want to bring this up with Kotaku. As of course, you being with the Washington Post and everything, very familiar with just journalism.
Lean forward here a little bit. So,
well, with this was news that broke on the 21st. It's over on Aftermath with Jen Glennon. Took over as editor-in-chief of Kotaku in October, resigned Thursday in a resignation letter seen by Aftermath. Glennon says that she made the choice due to the management team's recent decision to deprioritize news in favor of guides. I believe she called him a plant or herb or something as well. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that seems to be Kotaku's strategy now, at least based on that resignation, is that rather than, I guess, prioritizing opinion and news pieces, things that are just more breaking, that sort of thing, they would work to build out their guides, which to my understanding, guides on large websites like an IGN and stuff do make them like money, like for the traffic that comes in. But I have to imagine that the traffic spikes you get from a big breaking story is pretty significant. But what is your take on this, Gene? If Kotaku is moving to guides over news in general, written pieces, opinion, things that take weeks to research even at times?
I mean, to be straight up to everyone, I like Kotaku. I like Kotaku a lot, and mostly because I see Kotaku, because I'm a classic journalist student, right? I like venues that help encourage and help have a platform for journalists to try try things out. Kotaku is a place where a lot of young journalists, a lot of young games journalists go to kind of like get their feet wet and everything like that. And I think that's where a lot of like the blowback comes from, because with Kotaku, they're encouraged to like have a voice and have like a really, really active, aggressive stance and everything. And if you put inexperienced people in that role, then it can be pretty tough. But I'm kind of going off topic here. It's awful that they have to do guides, like you said, and like the staff have said, they get more stories, they get more clicks out of their original stories than they do out of guides. I mean, who here goes to Kotaku for guides? Who here have done that? You know,
Not me.
I don't, but I will say, Gene, like normally I'll just Google for something and whatever is kind of the first or second hit on the search results, I'll just click. So I don't really have a preference where I go. So if Kotaku's kind of up there in the search algorithm, I probably have gone to Kotaku a couple of times for guides.
The thing is that Kotaku used to be really good about offering like tip stories. And these tips would be coming from reporters who would really, really know a game. So, like we all talk about how Jason Schreier was so great at Kotaku as an investigative journalist and everything like that. But he was also a huge JRPG fan. So if Jason Schreier published a tip guide for like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I would actually read that because I know that Jason probably like played the shit out of the game and he really understood it well. But they've been struggling with kind of establishing kind of a similar kind of role and team like that, but it's because a lot of the people end up quitting or they end up getting laid off because Jim Spanfeller, the executive leadership there, thinks that Kotaku should just be an SEO farm, where a lot of these media executives are just really, really obsessed with, it's the same thing with AI. They're obsessed with content that is just evergreen, that you never have to like deal with ever again, and it's because they want free money. And what it really comes down to is that it's kind of like how everyone thinks that Twitter Blue engagement will get you money, but it really doesn't. Whatever money you might get from the guides won't be enough to prop up Kotaku. It's a failing business plan. What the executives want. What they should do is do what Kotaku used to be good at.
They seem to be at odds with their audience a lot. I noticed that.
Totally.
Gene, it's pretty consistent. Whenever I see like Kotaku, something pop up about that, like whenever Kotaku's trending on the right sidebar on Twitter, like I know
here we go again. It's the meme.
Look, I used to like Kotaku a lot more than I do now. I would definitely say that probably like a good 70% of Kotaku articles I don't like anymore, right? And that's not even the case. It's not even that like right wingers or people who are anti-woke hate Kotaku. You see a lot of good faith people not like Kotaku. A lot of good creators who are like women or people of color, and they hate Kotaku too. And one of their past writers, Harper J, and she's a community manager at Double Fine now, and she has her own personal blog, but she blogged about her time at Kotaku, and even she talks about how she ended up hating Kotaku and what Kotaku became after she left. Because she was saying, a lot of the articles since I left are really, really like there's no other way to say it. They're very mean-spirited, and it was interesting to hear that from her because she was one of the like a really senior person at Kotaku and really one of their better writers too. So it was really interesting to see that perspective too. But ultimately, it comes down to Jim Spanfeller and Geo Media not really knowing how to run a media company,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is looking at the numbers. Okay, guides, they must be a big focus for these other websites because they do at least bring in money and potentially more money than the opinion pieces. I almost wonder if Kotaku is maybe being prepped for a sale as well. I thought about that. I don't know. They seem very uninterested in that website, like at the top, if they're saying start writing guides.
I would not be surprised. Well, I mean, I feel like it's kind of clearly you can like anyone can clear like I'm not some kind of genius to say I think Kotaku's in trouble. I think anyone can tell what it is, but Kotaku has been in trouble for a while. They've been trying to figure out what to do with it for a while.
You know what I noticed with Google, and I feel like this is gonna be very difficult for websites in general, and it could become difficult for YouTubers depending on where AI gets to. But if you said you'll search for something on Google, let's say you're looking for an ultimate weapon in a Final Fantasy game or something.
Yeah,
you
like
search
I'll
for it,
search
right?
for like how do I find the rivers of blood in
Mhm.
in Elden Ring, right? And
Mhm.
I don't really care where it comes from as long as it's not clickbait type of thing. So whatever
Right.
comes up first.
But the shitty thing about guides is that like all the fucking guide pages suck because all the gaming websites suck because they're all trash with ads and all this other graphics and stuff like that. So what I really do when I search for tips or facts is I either do good old game facts or I actually just search Reddit. You know, like if I want a River of Blood sword, I'll search Reddit because at least I'm not being attacked with ads and just shit covering my fucking screen the whole time.
because they're always designed for like the first 3 paragraphs to be like, yeah, we're going to talk to you about what's happening, but it's designed so that you have like 6 layers of ads before you get to the news, which is why Steam's great because you can just click guide and just look at stuff.
The thing I noticed though on Google is if you search for something, Google will go out, get the information, and they'll put it at the top of the search.
Yep.
So you don't actually have to click away from it.
So you don't even.
So many websites hate that.
It's you all hate that, but I also don't click too, right?
Yeah.
Bullshit, you know.
So I almost wonder if they get to a point where AI can transcribe videos and then put the quote there or something too. That's another thing I was but like Google gets to a position where you never have to leave Google. You type it in and it just goes and finds the answer for you and brings it back.
I mean,
everyone stops making money. No one writes at things anymore, and then the AI stops working.
That's exactly
what does that
because Google wants to be the only place that you go on the internet. Google, that's it.
Does that for videos now too. If there's like a video that you're looking for an answer from, it'll timestamp the video.
Yeah, man.
So you click into so even if you're entering YouTube at that point, it still starts it from that particular point in the video, which, mind you, is a goddamn godsend because the vast majority of channels, if they're doing tutorials, they just don't give you that like straight up 30-second answer. So I mean, Google really is circumventing a lot of this stuff, even though on the YouTube side of things, the view is still going to the channel versus a traditional game site.
Which is why, like people like Jim's Spanfetter, you clearly see that they have like a very like 2002 level of understanding of what the internet is like. And I only say this because as someone who has dealt with media executives throughout my 20 years in journalism, they are all fucking clueless in how the internet works. Like they, if they could sue the ocean for whatever. Like they're like Nintendo, like in terms of like I'm pretty sure Nintendo actually understands the internet more. Like they're hanging out at the Discord servers of fucking Yuzu, but you know, that's like fairly sophisticated. But then you're goddamn sure that like Rupert Murdoch doesn't know any of this shit or whatever, and because that's what it is. We just have a whole bunch of 80-year-old dinosaurs running these media companies that are supposed to be catering to young people, you know.
Yeah, it's the how do you do kids meme all over again, just in a suit on the top of the building.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
That's you, OJ.
I wish we ran our newspapers, you know. I would trust Steve Buscemi over all these fuckers.
Yeah, that is a good point though, Evan. If the people start, go ahead, MG.
I was gonna say, can I say something about my thoughts on Kotaku? It's not going to be like, don't worry, I'm not going to just completely destroy them. But I will say that I have them blocked on Twitter, and I don't really follow them at all.
Block came out.
And look, it's not really for any specific reason. I will say that in the past, there has been some articles written about things that I've worked on and I've been involved with that I felt was not good reporting. But I won't go into that. That's water under the bridge. But what I want to say about Kotaku is, look, I think, like everyone else that's in media, they have to do what they can to survive, right? So whatever they think is the right play to stay relevant, stay employed, they're doing. But with that said, I want to see more actual reporting on game news again, like reviews, and I don't want the opinion pieces and the hit pieces and all the shit that they kind of have been doing lately. Like, Gene Park is like my favorite writer because he doesn't do any of that stuff. He just does gaming news and reviews, and he's a fucking legend. So more people really should kind of follow in what kind of Gene Park's doing, because I think the cream always rises to the top here. So I think if Kotaku can learn anything here, is just call it with the hit piece bullshit. Try to get some actual reporting again with gaming news. I think you'd be surprised that the amount of respect that would be re-earned after all that. So That's all I want to say, really.
I'm kind of glad that you brought up. First of all, I have blocked Kotaku, but I actually block a lot of news sites. But I did block Kotaku specifically because they spoiled Horizon Zero Dawn, like the DLC. So like they fucking spoil games in the headlines. That fucking sucks, man. You know. But besides that, I'm glad that you mentioned that about writing about the takes and the opinion pieces and everything, because I could write that stuff, and sometimes I'm inclined to, and I want to, because they're legitimate pieces of content, but the reason why I don't do it is because it's informed by the traffic that I've seen at the Washington Post. Because most people don't know, but I have not been a games journalist for very long. I've only been a games journalist since the end of 2019. From 2015 to 2019, I was an audience editor at the Washington Post. So I was looking at our site analytics. And around 2015 and 2016, people fucking loved opinion pieces. They loved takes and everything like that.
Yeah.
But that started to really, really turn around pretty quickly after Trump won. People really started getting tired of this shit, and it hasn't really recovered. So that's where like I'm using the data to inform what I try to write. I'm like, okay, people kind of don't like that shit anymore. So I don't want to write it. So that's good. So yeah.
Are people just becoming more aware of like the I guess the bombastic nature of some of that, where it's overblown?
Yeah, people are aware of takes, because Slate used to be famous for like the shittiest takes, and they've calmed down because they realize, oh, we're actually like harming our brand and our website by doing this shit all the time.
Well, I'll say this. I don't care. I'm writing hit pieces on John for being an anti-digital or anti-physical games propaganda.
Right.
So I'm writing the next hit piece.
Hey,
how about
got
John,
5 or 6 years?
Don't you know that Nintendo Switch games are all on the cartridge, John?
Sign me up, Kotaku. I'm working for them now. I'm writing the hit piece on Spawn.
The countdown is on.
Josie, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that personally, I only really go to websites for reviews to get pretty objective stuff.
Same.
And then I usually do, like YouTube videos for the opinion pieces, because that's where people's, I feel, personalities come out a little bit more. So I was just going to say, like, I agree. With you, MVG, and I really like the way G and you write your reviews, because they feel, objective to a certain degree, which is good.
Countdown, 5 or 6 years.
Crazy take.
Physical media's take is done. It's over.
Once Best Buy's done with it, it's all gone.
Hit piece coming.
It'll be limited run, and like, I don't know who else does the physical stuff.
8-bit.
That'll be it.
I am 8-bit.
I am 8-bit. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe
super deluxe game or super rare games, whatever.
Maybe you'll see the future in 3 or 4 months with that apparent Xbox revision coming. Okay. I do want to go to Dragon's Dogma 2, which is, I mean, this is quite the topic. So what I want to do is separate the actual thoughts about the game versus everything else about the game that seems to be going around, because I feel like if the game had just come out and it was, it was just good, no issues at all, it'd been fine. But like, it went to the next level because of all of these issues, to where people are going back in time and looking at like the last decade plus of Capcom. So let's just start with Dragon's Dogma 2 itself. I did not play it, and the reason I have not played it yet is because I don't know where to buy. I don't know what system to buy it on. I'm really unsure. I don't know where to play it. So I will defer to let's see, Evan, you played it. Gene, you played it. I think that's it, right? Just you two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, MVG's interested. I think you mentioned you're interested, but you have not played it. You're obviously at GDC.
Yeah, I'll check it out at some point. I do actually need a new game to play because I've beaten Rebirth, so I may take a look at it.
Okay. All right. So, Evan, you said you're 18 hours. Gene said you're 12 hours. What do we think about Dragon's Dogma 2?
I'm having fun.
You're having fun with it.
It's a pretty solid game. I mean, I'm playing it on this computer, which is definitely the least strong of my 3 computers. I gotta get it on the other one. But
what's the GPU on that one?
This one's a 10 series? No, 20.
10 series. 20
series. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
2080,
it's
2070. Just trying to figure out where we are when we talk about performance.
I'd have to look it up, but it's definitely 20 series. I'd consider this like a lower end computer at this point. I'm getting 60 at all low settings, definitely.
All low. Okay, got it. Low settings. Okay. Well, what's the CPU in there? That's a better question.
It's the one you bought. It's the AMD.
It's the Ryzen 5.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Cool. Got it. All right, that works. What about you, Gene? You're playing on? Are you playing on PS5, Xbox, PC?
You're playing on Steam Deck, I saw, Gene.
Oh gosh.
On that potato Steam Deck.
I did play most of it on PS5, but I did ask for a PC code, mostly just so I could, for that tweet, just show it off on Steam Deck.
Can I have a code so I can show how poorly this thing runs on the Steam Deck?
Yeah, well, I'm mostly playing it on my laptop, which is a 1060. Which is it's struggling, but it's doing a lot better than the Steam Deck. That's for damn sure. So.
Okay. Because I was thinking about getting it on PC, but there seem to be people who are saying this thing is crashing constantly for them, and I'm kind of looking at this as a roll of the dice. Like
it's got to be hardware specific. I haven't had a crash yet.
I haven't even crashed on the fucking Steam Deck. So
okay, yeah. This PC has a 3080 Ti. So
I can feel my Steam Deck dying as I'm playing the game, but it's still not crashing. So.
It seems to be heavily reliant on the CPU based on what everyone's saying, and that is also with the consoles as well. I think I have your processor in here, MVG.
The 3900K?
i9 13900K.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm thinking that'll be good for that. But that's where I was leaning towards getting it, is on the PC. But Evan, you said you're having fun with it.
Yeah, it's great.
What's your what class did you go? What's your adventure so far?
Started with the more spell. I can never remember the names of the classes. I just remembered as small staff, and then I moved on to the because you get it's the healer, name. It's the wizard type character. But now I'm the archmage or whatever the second tier is. Which I should not have gone to because I didn't finish out the first class, so I didn't get all the secondary abilities that you can then carry over to your other classes. I have to dip back. Same thing with my pawn. I made her the tier 2 warrior, which I got to throw her back at the shield so she can get the rest of the stuff. But building characters, fun. Fighting monsters, fun. I killed my first 2 dragons today, which was cool.
Did you have any of those open world experiences where someone showed like the troll and stuff falling over a chasm?
That's how I killed my first dragon. It was by a lake, and I got him. That is a fight. He's got like 7 health bars. He started flying up in the air, and we kind of moved him back over the lake. And then I hit him with the giant wind vortex in the air, knocked him out of the air, threw him into the lake. The brine killed him. So
nice.
But then the second one, that was the luckiest thing because I actually had to reload after it killed me. There's this like battleground area with all these like siege weapons all over the place, and I wound up one of the giant basically crossbow things. I managed to hit it in the head from across the field and got it in a 1-hit kill. So I was like super happy about that. That was great.
Yeah, so when I hear stories like that, I'm like, okay, I want to buy this thing. But Gene, what about you? What do you think of Dragon's Dogma so far too?
I've been a huge Dragon's Dogma fan since the first game.
Yeah.
I have been saying, along with my buddy Pat Stares at over at Castle Superbeast, but we've called Dragon's Dogma the greatest 7 out of 10 game ever made. And now Dragon's Dogma 2. Now Dragon's Dogma 2 is a fantastic 8 to 10 out of game. So, but I was surprised at first at how very much it is Dragon's Dogma. It is very uncompromising. Yeah. It's the pawns are weird and they're still weird. There's not a lot of hand holding in the game. It's very brutal. The nighttime is very hard and difficult and dark. You will get hungry. Your food gets old. There is no fast travel. And we'll talk about, well, I mean there is, but we'll talk about that, and yeah, it's
options.
Yeah, but Dragon's Dogma came out when Dark Souls came out, and I think people back then always compared Dragon's Dogma and Dark Souls, which is not the case at all. They're completely different games. But
there's some parallels, but it's very far apart.
Dark fantasy, but I've always said that I like Dragon's Dogma combat better than Dark Souls, even though Dark Souls is my favorite game of all time, and Elden Ring is obviously one of the best games ever made, or at least in the past 10 years. Despite all that, my experiences with Dragon's Dogma 1 are still so amazing that I still, when I played Elden Ring, I was disappointed that it wasn't like Dragon's Dogma 1. So this is how exciting Dragon's Dogma 2 is for me. So I'm loving it. I love, as I said on Twitter, I love the fact that Dragon's Dogma is a series where there are no arenas. The fight can happen wherever. Look at what Evan did with the dragon. He fell into the brine. So for people who don't know, the brine is basically the water of Dragon's Dogma, and if you touch the water in Dragon's Dogma, you're dead. So throw a dragon into the water, and that's an interesting like little mechanic that you just came up on your own. I hate to bring up the word immersive sim, but like it kind of is like that. It's kind of like the opposite end of Baldur's Gate. This game is also like D&D, except if D&D was a Devil May Cry game as opposed to a Baldur's Gate game.
Yeah, I want to buy this game now.
Yeah,
That's
You
good.
got me really interested now. I'm gonna check it
And
out. I think.
What's
I like
cool
Dark Arisen, so
Yeah, and the pawn system, if you get used to it, it's kind of cool because you have to sort of not really plan, but sort of balance your team to potentially take on certain things because it's gonna be hard with spoilers. There's some monsters I've run into where I could easily see if I didn't have a specific class with specific abilities, I wasn't killing it at all. Like it would just mess me up, and that's about it. So like there's some fun things to it, and having your own assistive pawn, learning how to kind of control them because my character doesn't have a lot of carry space. I didn't do a lot of that. So if I'm in a mine and I have my warrior with me who has all the stamina buffs and everything, if you use the little keypad stuff to tell her to do things, she'll run out and start mining all the stuff and get it all in her inventory. So it's perfectly fine. It's such a weird but fun game. And all the things I've seen so far since I've explored almost the entire northern continent is pretty cool.
My favorite part about Dragon's Dogma 2 is when you get to the title screen and it does not say Dragon's Dogma 2. It only says Dragon's Dogma. Because this game is clearly just a do-over because Dragon's Dogma 1 was very unfinished. They did not finish that game. So they made Dragon's Dogma 2 and they finally finished the game.
I like how their explanation is that your character just has amnesia. I'm like, that's it. So okay, yeah, sure, why not? All right, just has amnesia. Okay. Hey, if you need a backstory, there you go. It works for everything.
I would not play this game for the story, that's for sure. So
Well,
you're making your own story, basically.
Well, there's that whole cross section of people that play games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring who read all the lore and try and piece together and build their wikis. Dragon's Dogma has that because it does have this awkward world concept that's like, again, spoilery territory. I guess for the first one, it sounded like humans weren't actually from that world, and you kind of got pulled in, and then eventually you destroy this large monument. And there's a hole through the world, and so many crazy things going on.
I totally forgot about the nature.
Yeah, just watching it get annihilated, and then you can just sky bomb through the hole and then appear back from the sky, and it's like so weird.
Which explains the pods because they're so like not exactly people, They're a little alien-like,
Yeah, and this game's hinting that it's the same thing. It's pretty cool.
I think they're just telling the same story again. So,
Did you play with the Kit and Krista pawns?
No, I haven't run into them.
Because you either
pawns?
You have to find.
That's what I've heard.
The Kit and Krista pawns. Yeah.
Are they built in, or is it something they made and put in? Because you could just get random people's pawns, but there are set ones from Capcom.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're part of Capcom.
Yeah, they're part of the influencer pawns are they have a blue font on them. So those are the official Capcom ones. I haven't found any of them actually. So
is it Kit and Chris? I thought it was just Kit.
No, I think Krista has one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've got 2 spots on your team, so pretty good.
Oh, okay. Well, how was the performance?
I'm getting 60, but again, full low on this computer. Probably do better on my 3080.
I get like I said, I'm on the Shinji Ikari settings, lowest of the low on my 1060. But I capped it off at 30 frames and is doing okay. On the PS5, as Digital Foundry noted, but I also noticed it's just going anywhere from like 25 to 40, and
oh gosh,
I'm not a person who like gets bothered by performance. I can play a game at 24 frames per second, no problem. But as long as it's consistent, the fact that it keeps bouncing from like 25 to like 40 like drives me crazy. So
that chart looked crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of why I haven't played it as much. Like I probably would have liked it, but the fact that I do actually kind of feel sick playing it, like looking at it, has kind of like. I'm surprised that Dragon's Dogma 2 is the game that might actually make me buy a 4090 PC.
Yeah, I would hate fighting some of the monsters at low frames or unstable frames, just with their speed and oddness.
Exactly, and so when things heat up, like it does not, it gets a little crazy. It reminds me of what I played on the Xbox 360, to be quite honest.
Oh yeah, but people forget that generation. That was pretty common to have some weird fluctuating 20 to 35 frames per
I
second.
think that's the reason why I didn't play the first one, and I thought I can't play this one because I had the 360 version, and it was a mess. But my question is, I have a 4080. Will it run the game well on a 4080?
If I'm running it on a 20, I mean, at the very least, you could probably run it at half settings.
You're gonna get it's going to be fine for the most part. It is still a bit uneven, which is unfortunate because it's such a how powerful it is. But like the city part, apparently that there's some issues there, even with like the best builds. From what I saw with IGN's performance review. But you're gonna get a way better experience than on Xbox or PS5 by far.
Yeah, you'll be much better. Yeah,
it's very CPU reliant too, and you got a nice CPU, MVG. So I don't think you have any issue.
Yeah, as long as you have a hefty CPU, then you should have no problem because there's just so many AI programs like pop it off like at any given instance. Not even really physics, but it's mostly like AI pathing, which is going crazy.
Yeah. As long as you have a crashing issue that the random people seem to have, it'll probably be okay. That's why I'm thinking about getting it on PC, just because I've seen people post clips of it on the Xbox and the PlayStation, and it's like,
get it on Series S, Josie. Josie can get it on Series S.
Oh man, that I will give that.
That'll be a PS5 purchase.
I'm quite impressed that system can play it. I will say that the Series S
can it play.
It actually doesn't. I mean, it runs. It runs.
Is it on Game Pass?
That's true. It runs. No, it's not on Game Pass.
Then what is the point?
It does run. That's true.
It functions. Yeah. It doesn't
that comparison though. I don't know if you've seen the side.
Oh yeah, they had like potato graphics going on. Yeah. It was crazy on that Series S.
I give them props though for getting it running on there though, for real. Like that's pretty good.
They got to figure it out. I mean, the Series S and like the RAM configuration that's pretty impressive. They were able to at least make it work.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, this is the first open world RE engine game.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the limits of RE Engine with open world.
Yep.
Well, they're making
the RE Engine.
Well, and also the limits of Capcom at open world. Capcom has never made an open world game before this.
I'm used to whenever I see RE Engine, I always immediately go, okay, this thing's gonna be super optimized, 100 some odd frames on this PC, no problem.
I thought so too. I was like, RE Engine is gonna work. It's fine, guys. It'll work.
Is this actually true open world, or is it like the open zone thing?
It's open. Like I was on the northwestern mountain, I could see the northeastern city, the southern border town before the desert area. Like it was crazy.
So here's how open world it is. MVG at the opening cinematic. This is just the intro, right? You're riding an eagle, right? And then you're going from the eagle from your starting point to like basically your real starting point in the game, right?
All the way south to all the way north, yeah.
All the way south to all the way north. You look at the map and you see what you uncovered on the map.
Mm-hmm.
It follows the eagle's pathing during the intro sequence.
Oh wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. So it is tracking you during the intro, during the cutscene. It is tracking through the map. So it's very, very impressive. It's a very, very impressive true open world.
And you've got some of your characters can get abilities like mage wise. I can create sort of like ice stairs that I've turned into an attack and they become stairs, which lets me climb things that normally you can't get up. So I scaled some things I don't think I was supposed to scale. Mm-hmm. So I've just been weird places and I've skipped skipped segments of the map. It was wild.
Mm-hmm. Well, the big conversation that popped up wasn't even around the performance, which is wild because you feel like that would be the big thing. No, it was actually around the microtransactions in the game, which are on the Steam page. It's like 14 or so items, but worked in there were things for fast travel, revives, and then of course the currency in the game, those RC, and that did not go over well online. So initially it was said that these were not detailed ahead of time. They just showed up, but they were in the review guide that they gave out, which, Gene, it's like generally it's actually what's really funny about these review guides, because you're not supposed to technically show them to anyone, but they look like manuals, like a manual that would come with the game sometimes. Like they do graphic design, the whole thing on it.
Yeah. So sometimes they have like unique fonts and shit. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. There was one I did someone recently with it, and it looked like if I had printed it out and put it into like a case, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It looked like a manual. Like they had images of the different characters around and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, people actually have fun making these review guides. That's fun. So
Yeah, but in there they did have a link to the microtransactions and detailed the DLC and stuff. So they did technically tell reviewers that, but no one apparently mentioned it, which was kind of odd.
That was the problem that some people had. It's like they didn't mention in there, and even some reviewers they didn't know. They spoke as if that there isn't going to be any, but they might add them later. But they received or they didn't look at it. They essentially just didn't look at.
There was a couple that said they didn't read it. Yeah,
that they just didn't read it. So people were pissed.
Scroll to the bottom, agree.
So like, why didn't you read that? Especially if they're telling you there's going to be like DLC, or microtransactions, like you got to read that,
All right, so let me understand this, because I was out last week, so I didn't really kind of get up to date on the story. And
sure.
Capcom, Resident Evil 4, I mean, all their games have like at least 30 little, $5 microtransactions. So what I'm hearing is that's not the issue. We know that Capcom riddles their games with microtransactions. The issue is that customers were kind of blindsided because
the reviewers didn't do their job.
Is that right?
No, apparently it's just the people are just looking at the microtransactions themselves. Even so,
they're
one is for the fast travel thing, right? That's what you guys mentioned was going to come up.
It's the portal crystal. It's a placeable fast travel. I currently have 2 of them in game, and I didn't pay for anything.
Well, then why are people upset about this? I mean, this is Capcom, man. This is what they do.
Because
microtransactions.
And also, again, Dragon's Dogma is a confusing game. This is the first time the game has really become mainstream. So this is the first time people are kind of starting to understand what the game is. So like we a lot of like Dogma veterans have had to tell people, no, this game does not really use fast travel like that. The game is always like that. No, it's fine. And the thing is about the fast travel points is that you can't buy infinite fast travel points in the store shop. The game will break if you're leaving infinite fast travel points all over the world. Think about what the game would be. You can only buy the amount that's there. So if there are 5 fast travel points, that's all you get. You just buy 5. That's the maximum you get. Or you can play the game and you'll get the maximum anyways.
And the thing is that's the point. That's not the fairy stone that lets you go to the point. So you can put the stone down, and if you got no fairy stones, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, MG, you're right, because this was RE4 you bought tickets for your upgrades like outright in the store. You just buy a whole bunch of them and just go crazy upgrading. Devil May Cry 5 had all those orbs you could buy. I think you could even buy orbs, Devil May Cry 4 even way back in the day.
Yeah.
You could.
And in fact, in the original Dragon's Dogma, before it came to PC on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, you could actually buy RC at that time. They got rid of that when they brought out Dark Arisen. But originally you could buy currency back then on Dragon's Dogma.
6.
So with RC, so with RC to explain to people what RC is rift crystals, and you spend rift crystals to hire the pawns that you get from.
There's also some cosmetics you can get, as well as ways to shift what your pawn looks like, their personalities and other things. But I've killed things that have given me RC, and you get RC kind of passively as well a lot.
The thing is that RC is a cheat code, because if you really just don't want to have fun with the game and you just want to just blast your way through the game, just buy the RC, go into Riftstone, buy a level 80, 90 pawn, and just don't play the game. Just have the AI play the game for you. So that's what people are complaining about.
I'll tell you what the real issue is, MVG. The thing that people should be more concerned about is, Capcom had their big push for DRM, right? Like they're one of the biggest companies about DRM.
That's
right.
I agree. Okay. I feel like that people are looking over here when they should be focused on the de novo, because I feel like once they take that de novo away, you're going to get at least another 10 FPS in that game for free.
Probably completely unbreaks it, full uncapped.
Probably runs good on the Steam Deck if they take that de novo away.
I absolutely believe that it'll probably run decently on the Steam Deck once you take that shit away.
It probably will.
Did you see this thing where? Oh, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead, Ryan. You're good.
Did you see this thing where apparently, because the game's so CPU bound and the world just is tracking so many things, that the community is like on this like murderous rampage of the NPCs to just get back some FPS? I wonder if there's actual some sort of like proof there for like if it's being documented, like we kill like a good portion of these 1,000+ NPCs. Can we get some frames back on the Steam Deck, or like a rig that's really kind of pushing itself to play this game?
because the microtransaction people say would be optional, but the DRM attached to it isn't. It's just there. And the other part is your character, to my understanding, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong here, is actually stored on their server, like they sync to your game. So you don't actually have the character on your PC. And if you remember Capcom, big push against mods. Big, but they do not want people modding their game. You can tie that into the microtransactions to a degree, because if you start cheating or, playing around with values in the game and give yourself infinite, I don't know, RC or something, then you wouldn't necessarily be inclined to buy any of them. So that's the thing with Capcom is the DRM and the push against mods and really having your own save file at times, your character on your PC, as opposed to, like you guys are describing, as very, very optional microtransactions that people probably wouldn't even know existed unless they visited the Steam store page and scrolled down and clicked some buttons. So.
There's no in-game shop. You have to go to the Steam store, the PlayStation shop, or the Xbox shop to buy these things.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say, and I agree, I don't think it's as big as people say. The only thing that I would say is that people kind of don't like this stuff because it really becomes a slippery slope, right? Like if you start monetizing items in game or certain things, like where does that stop? We saw with Baldur's Gate, we saw with Elden Ring, we see with Xenoblade Chronicles, we see all these other games. They don't do that. And when you start doing things like that, especially in a massive RPG, that can create a little bit more backlash than maybe something that's experienced like Resident Evil. And if you look at it, even like a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that was absolutely done in that game. That game was super grindy, and they want you to buy their XP boosters, and they want you to buy their things. So it's not like there isn't examples of developers altering what you get or how you get things in order to kind of nudge, wink you to get something. So that's why I think people have an issue with this, because now it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. But then what if they go a little bit step further next time? So that's what I would say to that. I don't think in-game items should be part of the currency for like DLC or microtransactions. I think if you're going to do microtransactions, maybe if you're going to do, I don't know, multiplayer, or if you're going to do like, let's say actual content, like new characters or, location, like that should be what you're spending extra on. Not, I can get this item. Like that to me should not be part of games personally, but that's just my own personal thought process, because once again, it can turn into that slippery slope. And we saw what Assassin's Creed Odyssey did. Other games have done it. Obviously, mobile games do it like crazy. So that's what I would say with that. I mean, I get it. You can still play. I've seen plenty of reviews. You can still play Dragon's Dogma, guys. I'm not saying that that's what Dragon's Dogma is doing, but you never know with the next one if they say, okay, well, the game's even more expensive to make now. Maybe now we're going to program it. Instead of getting whatever item here, we're not going to drop it there. And we're going to make you have to kill a couple more of those or way more. You have to grind a bit more to get X or Y item, So that's the only thing that I would say with that, But it's still, like I said, you can earn everything in game. I made a video on it. So, yeah.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. One of my favorite games of all time, a game that's very, very close to me, and Yakuza is
Game Plus,
my second favorite series. They monetize New Game Plus, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the Yakuza's community was like kind of like not sure with it, and then we just played the game, and then so I would say that we're already falling down the slippery slope already.
So that's why it's like you got to point it out. Like you can't just say, oh well, so it's all good, no problem. Like at least point that out and say, hey, look, we should know about the microtransactions. What you're doing, reviewers should know, and people should at least just say it. Not saying that you got to all be all outraged, because I'm not, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, point it out. Don't just say, oh, I didn't know. I didn't have to. No, point it out. If they give you a guide and they're going to be in there, especially like this type of way, I get it.
It should have been pointed out. And I don't want to throw aspersions, because I also didn't fucking read the review guide, but I didn't review the game. I didn't review the game though. I did not review the game. So I had no responsibility for any information, but I didn't read the guide either. But
I don't mind mistakes of people not reading the guide. Like there were some people that actually read the guide and still opted to not say anything. I think Fighting Cowboy, he read the guide and opted to still not say anything. That's kind of bullshit, like that shouldn't be done.
It's the Capcom brain, and not to excuse it, right? This is why I started my tweet by saying it's Capcom's fault that everyone is mad, because there's only one person, one company, one entity that put the microtransactions that started this whole thing, and it's Capcom, right? It is Capcom's fault for doing this all the time, especially when it's fucking pointless. But it's the Capcom brain, because like fans like me have been acclimated to ignoring these microtransactions because we know that they're useless, because Capcom doesn't know how to make microtransactions. Basically, they're very bad at it mostly.
They just do the time saver approach from like everything I've seen.
They do, yeah. It's just a cheat time saver code, and then there's Monster Hunter Rise with like 300 DLC, but a lot of those are like outfits and skins and stuff like that, which is fun.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised they charged for. I mean, in hindsight, you can see why they did it, but I kind of felt like Separate Ways would have came with Resident Evil 4 Remake, the base game. So I was actually surprised when it wasn't, and then they did deliver it later with like a $10 price tag on it.
They did the same thing for RE7 and maybe even RE8, but I know for RE7 they had like DLC like announced or whatever like a week after the game came out back in like 2017 or whatever. So, yep, very.
Ryan, were you trying to get in there?
Basically, what Gene was getting at, which is that I don't think this is a slippery slope. We've had microtransactions for over a decade. We've seen them run the gamut. And we've seen really, really, really bad examples that are insidious and predatory. And we've seen some that are decent, like they're cosmetic and they're additional. And sometimes there's just this sort of perception thing with it. If it's there day one and consumers weren't informed about it, no matter what the transactions are, it kind of has there's baggage that comes with that. But if they come later as you made it after the fact and I'm already done with the game, but now they feel additional and it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it run the gamut, and it just seems apparent that Capcom keeps taking a very just like a poor approach, even though they seem useless on paper. Like you don't have to engage with them. You don't have to buy them, but they just choose to like make this the worst. Like they choose to make this look bad on themselves, and they conceivably don't have to.
Yeah.
But we're there. We have microtransactions, and we've just got another weird, bad example that you don't have to engage with.
I do think everybody has that game, and I think this is why there's people who are yelling about the microtransactions, people who are like defending them. I think everybody has that game where if a company came to you and they're like, listen, there's this this series that's been gone for a long time. You love this thing like crazy. You really want another one. We'll bring it back. We'll put a budget behind it, but it has to come with microtransactions. I think most people would go, okay, that's fine. Let's do it. Yeah. Like everybody has that series that's been dead for a while, or they want to see another game in the franchise, and they would accept. And I feel like Dragon's Dogma 2 is one of those games for some people out there. Like it's you know what, whatever. I just that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's not required.
Yeah, that's what
it's not shoved in your face 24/7. It's not something that's so they're like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, obviously it's a bad thing that they're there and they're pointless for whatever, but at the same time, it's not like they it's like, oh, you feel like the need to really, use them,
right.
Or anything like
that.
And
I think Capcom controls a lot of those games too, though. Like RE4 is another one of those games. Hey, we're remaking one of your favorite games of all time. It's going to have microtransactions, though. People be like, okay, that's fine. Let's do it. If they do it for Mega Man X9, I'd be like, all right, well, let me help you. Let's figure this out. Maybe we could do X10 too. We'll work on some microtransactions.
Mega Man skins. Just get a couple skins in there.
Yeah.
Hey, they put it in Exo Primal. All right, we're halfway there.
The mobile games have a bunch of Mega Man mobile games.
They do.
They had that canceled game where you're supposed to be able to play as like any Capcom character as Mega Man. Like you could run around as
RE Engine,
Ryu.
Mega Man X9. Let's figure it out. What can we sell? Let's do it. So, hey, Dragon's Dogma 2. I am interested. You said you have a 4080. You have the same CPU as me.
I do.
You should buy the game.
He's gonna test it with you,
and then tell me how it runs.
I mean, I guess I could refund it, right?
Yeah, Steam refund.
Yeah,
I may grab it.
That's fine.
I watched Mudahar's video, and he really kind of destroyed the performance on a high-end PC. I kind of waiting for them to optimize it a bit, but I may grab it, check it out, and then return it if I'm not getting a good experience with it.
Capcom needs to drop a benchmark tool for this game where you can just download a chunk of it and they do the sweeping shot and it gives you your average FPS like that. They need to do that.
It'd be nice, yeah, because the character creator is not indicative. I thought maybe the character creator, but it is not indicative of anything. Like you could run the character creator on any system basically.
Because there's definitely it's definitely an engine thing. There's weird moments like the healing anodyne. If my camera is on the edge of the healing anodyne animation, 10 frames a second.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that, but I'm fine otherwise. It's just weird.
Yeah, you never know what's going to take the FPS in that game.
No, yeah. Like I cast Salamander 4 times, whole area on fire, completely fine. I don't know.
I probably will buy an MVG on PC either way because I don't think the PS5 Pro is gonna all of a sudden show up and make this thing 60. So,
Well, no, if it's CPU bound, definitely not.
Yeah, because they left that frame rate uncapped. So if it could do it, it's at least available.
If they cap it, then a PS5 Pro should probably hold 30 on it, no problem.
Yeah,
I suspect.
I can't believe they didn't cap it either way.
Yeah, that's weird. Why do you think why wouldn't they cap it at 30?
I don't
Especially since
get
you can cap.
Capcom doesn't do this.
Version.
Yeah, Capcom doesn't do unlock frame rates either. So like I was like, why the fuck are you doing this for this game of all fucking games? You know? Like, why are you being so fucking weird about this game? Like my favorite game, you know? Why are you being like this to this game?
Wasn't if I remember correctly, the original was like 30 frames locked, and the modding community on PC is the thing that unlocked it. And that was always like a point of like contention between people. So maybe they're just doing it for that.
Hey, Dark Arisen can get 60 on the Steam Deck OLED in the ROG Ally.
So. Yeah, sure can. Yeah. I played the hell out of it again on PC too, Steam Deck.
Joe's the internet is exploding.
She said BRB.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe she's going to work on it. That's all good. All right. Well, Gene, you said you had an hour or so. If you got a jet.
Yeah, I'm going to bounce.
Stop and point here. Thanks, Gene, for joining us. Make sure you check out Gene Park. He's over on X. And I also, down below in the description, I have his Washington Post profile linked. Does some very good work over there. Good pieces. So make sure you check. Was there any piece you've done recently that was your favorite one that you just want to let people know before you sign out?
Well, I did interview Koji Kondo, the composer of the Mario and Zelda themes, and that was an exclusive interview at DICE. That was fun to kind of be tucked away in a secret room in DICE where no one could go, just to talk to Mr. Kondo, the GOAT of music, you know. And that's actually, it's funny because I tweeted that I saw Koji Kondo leave a nightclub in Las Vegas, and I kind of wanted to see like whether he would just leave because I saw him go in, right? And I wanted to see if he would leave like right away, and he did. He sure enough left like in 10 minutes, right? But I was also waiting with none other than Marty O'Donnell, the composer of Halo, because he was also outside the club because he was waiting he was hoping to see Koji Kondo because he really wanted a selfie with Koji Kondo because he took one years ago with him. And he would really love, his dream is to have a selfie with Kondo, himself, and Uematsu in one. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool.
Marty O'Donnell's running for politics, right?
Yes, he's trying to be your congressman.
Oh my god, dude!
Well, I don't know if you're District 3, but he's running for District 3.
Will he come out like rally to like the Halo music, like
unbelievable,
lit, dude? I'd vote for him right there. I don't care what he said.
I ain't voting for him.
I mean, I actually reached out. I actually reached out to Marty because we spoke while we're both stalking Koji Kondo. But I actually reached out to Marty, DM'd him and say, "Hey man, if you want to get in the Washington Post, let's do an interview." He has not responded. So, as far as I could tell, with his stances, they're not very unique. I think he's just running as a Republican, and his stance is to be a Republican. So I don't know, just be generally conservative. So I don't know, cool guy otherwise. So, anyways, that's my story.
Okay. Thanks, Gene, for joining us. Appreciate it as always. It was good talking to you.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here. I appreciate you all.
Have fun. Bye, Gene. Sacred Symbols Live tomorrow.
All right. Good night, guys. Thanks so much. Bye, chat. Bye, all.
Let me go over to some of the super chats here. Let's see. IRS says, Like a Dragon has worse DLC than Dragon's Dogma 2, Dungeons and Jobs. Let's see. Was that Princess Peach release in New York City? Peach Tea was incredible. Tijo says, just another reminder that microtransactions aren't optional, are never excusable for any premium priced game. Let's see. Rastaleaf Reggae says, I should have been a member. I've been watching you since the end of the Wii U era.
Have you been doing the show that long?
Right at the...
Did you do the show before the Wii, the Switch came out?
I feel like episode 1 was right at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, man.
Yeah,
John,
it's been. I mean, we're
making-
we're episode 360 right now.
I think he's talking about like when you just start like on that sofa that you used to make video with the signs in the back.
Oh, that was right at the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Fun fact, John. I used to watch those videos as a literal child
Oh my god.
because nobody made Wii U videos.
Cringe.
Oh, that
Your parents must have thought there was something wrong with you if you're watching this.
That's what I used to do. I used to sit there and I always watch
the hell are you
him
watching
and, like,
this guy for?
him and like beat 'em ups and like RGT, and I just like sit there and I'd be like,
Jesus.
"Wow,
Holy
teach me
Trinity
about
right
video
there.
games."
You watched RGT as a kid. Wow, that's
Holy
All you
Trinity.
guys. It was wild. And then I'd go watch Hannah Montana. It was a good time.
there it is.
The duality of
RGT, Hannah Montana. It's a good afternoon. This is for Rostalif Reggae also gifted 5 Spawn Wave memberships.
It's Rasta Life, John. Life.
Rasta Life,
Rasta
thank you.
Life.
Let him
you.
keep mispronouncing it. It's
Rasta,
fine.
thank you, MVG. I appreciate it.
My favorite moments editing news.
John's never said Rasta life in his life.
Seeing him say something and going, can't wait for the comments tomorrow. It'll be great.
I like that. It just says, MVG, why did you rush through FF7 Rebirth? You didn't want to get spoiled on the main story or more time for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties?
Well, fun fact, I'm the first person in the world to platinum Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, so
Oh, wow.
Well,
Oh, he's
I can say that
cheating
accolade.
behind the scenes.
Yep. As far as Rebirth goes, honestly, look, there is enough of us. Like the story itself is going to take 40 hours, right? Just the story. And I went through the game and I beat it in about 40 hours. So I didn't really feel compelled to do much of the side quests. I know that, if you do the side quests, it basically balloons the game out to 100 plus hours, maybe 150 hours. I'm not sure. But look, I just wanted to enjoy the story. I didn't really care about the side missions that much. I did a couple of them. I got some of the materia summons and a couple of other bits and pieces. But honestly, I just wanted to see where the story went. So that's why I kind of just focused on the main story.
Chris says, how do you guys beat games so fast? I'm so slow.
I don't.
yeah, I'm very
don't.
slow too.
Some of the games I'll rush through, but like Rebirth is holding me a bit longer. I think I'm at like 55 hours in it now.
Are you gonna beat it, John, or are you just gonna just look at the game and not do
I'm
anything?
gonna beat it.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
burn
I'm
out at some point and just move on.
No, I'm going through. I 100%ed Cosmo Canyon, 100%ed Nibelheim. I did that, and now I'm just 100% in some of the areas I go through now. So I'm rolling. I mean, I'm finishing up chapter 12 now. I'm getting there.
I'm so far behind, man. I'm about 30 hours in. I'm only at the Junon area. So like
I play
just 'cause,
Rebirth every day.
Yeah, I don't play. I haven't been able to play it every single day as much as I've wanted to because I've been moving. So it's just been like crazy.
Let's see. Zbat says Mystic was a great addition to the show, but where is Mr. Fringe? I missed the OJ versus Fringe banter. Cheers, everyone. I think Jordan's been on a bit of a break this year, and he was just I think he's at PAX East.
He is.
Not
He's at
mistaken.
PAX right now,
Yeah.
having fun over there.
Yeah, he was on a little bit of a break. He took a little vacation.
He
He'll be
posted, he
back.
said he had videos coming.
Yeah,
Thank
he'll
you
be
for
back.
the warm welcome, though. I really appreciate all the Spawncast viewers being so welcoming. It's very
very
appreciative.
very welcoming audience. Yes.
I mean,
we love everyone.
At times.
I'm in good hands. I'm surrounded by good people. I'm happy.
So
CJ says Princess Peach was made by Goemon director. Oh yeah, that's right. We found out like randomly. It's still strange that Nintendo doesn't advertise any of that, but there you go. We got the credits and people figured it out. Tijo says, did you guys see that Star Ocean Second Story R is getting new stuff? I saw they tweeted about the idea of an announcement coming, an update. So I don't know, maybe new content? Maybe. I feel like that game did well enough for them to do something like that. GP says, why does RGT85 hate Qbert so much? That's a great question.
You should watch Game and Talk podcast. He might go into it in detail if you ask him there.
I was just about to ask, where is this coming from?
I don't know. There must have been there's a good story here.
No, this is an old one. I remember him bringing this up on the Spawncast like a year ago or something. It's long.
He's
time.
yelling about Qbert?
Yeah, he says he just didn't like Qbert.
Interesting. What to ask him?
Game and Talk.
JS Schneider says, hell yeah, Gene Park. Gene Park's not here now. I should have read that
Dylan
one.
Schneider.
This was at 9:33.
You skipped a whole word.
JS Dylan Schneider. Dylan
He'll skip.
Schneider?
He'll skip.
Dylan Schneider. No, so
Comment of the week
learned,
every time. Just a couple
skip,
things.
like,
what I've learned with
5
no,
letters.
what I've learned with comments, Ryan,
Is to not do them.
No.
No, we
Sometimes names, what I've figured out over my my 360 episodes of the show is that sometimes names look innocent enough, and then you sound them out, and all of a sudden it backfires. So after a few times of that, I said I will read part of the name and ruin it.
After 600 episodes of LTPS, I just say congrats to this guy, and I don't even attempt it. Or I do a quick search for like how to pronounce X, Y, and Z, and then I always get that YouTube channel of that French sounding guy saying,
"Oh yeah," where they
this
try to
is
tell
how
you
we pronounce this word today, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll give it a shot.
Sometimes I have to do that when the interviews come up, like for people's names, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is
Always
this?
double check
The names. I'm telling you, sometimes that just gets me. So this is from Tang Stanky, who says, I attended GDC, I met MVG.
Wait, say stanky again. Say stanky one more time.
I paused so it doesn't go together too fast there. So they said they met MVG. You met Stanky MVG?
I did. Yeah, I did. Stanky was awesome.
Friends now.
Yo, John,
Stanky?
John, say Pookie for me, brother. Say Pookie. Say Day Day and Pookie.
Oh shit.
H Bomber guy was there as well. I saw MVG. You took a picture with H Bomber.
I met H Bomber guy. Very, very nice dude. Great to hang out.
Says they sat in a talk with that Mark Cerny was in. I've wanted to attend GDC since I was learning CS in college. Thanks for talking with MVG. You were so nice.
Shout out Stanky. You're a good dude.
No one laughs at him saying it. Okay. Jake says, do a poll on what people to find stuff in games.
What?
Okay.
Moving on.
Sometimes people think I'm making up the comments when I read them, or like I'm missing something. Now I can put them on screen. There you go. Do a poll on what people to find stuff in games. You wait till Mr. Davis writes in. All right, that's going on screen. Orange says, anyone have interest in board games or card games?
Yeah, I like Monopoly a lot.
Monopoly? Okay. Let's see. Casual Noob Gamer says, John promotes Digital Future Spawncast, all digital.
Yep.
Spawncast isn't on vinyl or anything. It's all digital.
Why don't we print the show on Blu-ray?
I feel like there's a missed market there. We could have the Spawncast 360 episodes on a Blu-ray set.
It should be affordable.
We'll just press vinyl. It'll be good.
Put it on vinyl. You got to put on like the record player.
I feel like only 20 people would buy the Blu-rays though.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having all 360 episodes right now on Blu-ray?
I think it'd do better than what we think it would do.
No.
Okay, maybe 50 copies.
How many Blu-rays do you think it would take to do that?
Blu-rays for audio, the compression we have, one.
Like we do the whole video. I mean, the video.
Oh, the whole video?
Watch all episode 1 to 360. Some controversial episodes in there.
I wonder if we could do 100 of Blu-ray.
It should fit on an Ultra HD Blu-ray.
Look into that. Tijo says, so did Capcom put a Japanese song in Dragon's Dogma 2 like they did in the original and removed in Dark Arisen? A Japanese song. As like the theme song, like the opening.
I don't feel like I've run across anything.
No, there's no big like. There's a pretty.
It's orchestral. The opening's orchestral.
Andy Ackerman says he missed the Brady Bunch. That says, "Careful, Juice. Your slope is slippery."
All right.
Not wrong.
This is from the Casual Noob Gamer. Says the Zelda Skyward Sword does microtransactions. Internet flips out, but Dragon's Dogma okay. Skyward Sword does.
He's talking about the amiibo.
The amiibo. Thank you, Joseph.
Oh, the Loftwing thing?
Yeah, it like made fast travel a thing.
Right. Yeah, I bought one for that.
They got him.
They got him.
They got me.
It wasn't worth it. Never used that thing.
You didn't really need to have it though.
Rich says Ronin clearly better than Dogma, not even close.
Mhm.
There you go. Andy says, MVG, the best games are the ones you enjoy the way you want to enjoy them. I support your decision to power through the main story.
Preach, Andy.
There we go. And Jason says, with Prince of Persia on sale, why buy a Ubisoft game day one when you can get it near half price after 2 months? Do these early discounts hurt their IP?
This is the constant conversation with Ubisoft. I feel like specifically, a lot of companies do it, but Ubisoft, this is the mental state everyone is in of just like, I'll wait 2 months. It'll be fine.
They've kind of earned it though, because their games genuinely drop price very quickly.
And they keep doing, they just keep doing it. Like if you stopped doing it at some point, maybe it would change, but
it's a hard sell when you just, if you have a mild interest in a Ubisoft game, why would you buy day
why not just open it at the low cost? You get the FOMO people, that's fine, but you just start selling it low. You'll be the company that just blows people away. They'll just all buy right away.
Well, yeah, and I feel like they sell so much more after it goes on sale too, right? Like that's when everybody goes out and buys
spikes.
it. So we gotta, if we started lower,
Depends if it's that game that you need to play it. Like when Splinter Cell remake comes out, I mean, I'm gonna buy that right away. So
why not? You can just. Well, I mean, if something else comes out that's gonna take you a while to beat, just wait the 2 months and get it on discount.
That's true. If it comes out, I mean, I don't know. Splinter Cell remake is a game I really want to play. I want to see how they do that, but. Yeah, that's true. Something crazy could come out next, so I can't discount that. That's very possible.
When they put out Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and like everybody was like, "Oh, you got to get this game. It's actually pretty good." I literally waited maybe I think it probably was 2 months, and then I got it for $10 on Black Friday. It was like, there's just no point to me buying it.
It's the constant.
Game. Yeah, it never stops.
They need to reverse that somehow. I feel like Sony's kind of reversed that recently. Like this generation. Sony used to have all their PS4 games go on sale pretty quickly. It doesn't really happen much anymore. Like I think Demon's Souls is still a full price game.
They would do it after like I'd say around half a year. PS4 games would drop to like a 20 MSRP. But yeah, Sony's definitely taking a more premium product approach, which seems to be working for them, at least as far as their numbers go.
I think that's why Ubisoft didn't they change the kind of the branding of it a bit, where they said it's a Ubisoft production or something. What do they call it now? They changed kind of the branding of their games. I don't know if that's
Ubisoft Original.
Thank you, Ubisoft Original. I feel like they've done that to try to premium up the product a bit. So maybe that'll be the plan. Oh, look at that! Casual New Gamer says Spawncast Blu-ray giveaway at Too Many Games panel.
We'll start.
Does anyone here have a Blu-ray burner? Does anyone here have a Blu-ray player in their PC? Let's start with that. Then we'll work.
I think I do have a burner.
I do.
Oh, there we go.
What if we could just take the next step and just put it on one USB stick?
Just give a USB stick to someone. Here you go.
Which has one file, which is a link to the entire playlist online.
On YouTube.
just call it Modern Warfare 3. No content on the disc.
Would we have to put like a little blue label on there saying like online connection, like the
Switch there it
game?
Is. Yeah. Hey. This is from Liam. It says, appreciate the birthday entertainment tonight, guys. I was 15 when I started watching a show and turned 20 today. Yo, birthday to Liam.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dude.
Birthday. And CJ says, thoughts on possible GTA 6 delay?
Most
would not shock me. Would
Can't
not
be
shock
a delay
me.
if there was no date announced.
I mean, if it goes from 2025 to 2026, that'd be a delay. Technically. But I wouldn't be shocked if GTA 6 got pushed to, we'll just say 2026 at that point. That wouldn't surprise me. But I think they're referring to Kotaku, I think, wrote the article, but their article was weird because it said it might come out the day it's supposed to, or 3 months later, or the year after. So I don't know. It seemed kind of weird, that whole thing.
Things could happen. Piece.
You could
at least they were firm on it not coming out
direct.
Hey, there's always a direct around the corner, MVG. Always a direct.
Next week.
There it is. We do have so Shinji Mikami left Tango Gameworks, we know, a year ago, and it appears he's formed a new studio. Now, this was found on a website for the Shadows of the Damned remaster, and apparently
say the correct name, John.
Shadows of the Damned Hella Remastered. Sorry,
thank you.
You can see it right here. Hella Remastered.
Cool.
And this was found on the site for I'm not sure how to pronounce this necessarily. This is one Ryan where you have to pull up the YouTube video for it. Is it Kamui Inc? Kamui. Kamui. Thank you. Kamui Inc. This is an interesting one to me because he left Tango to wait a year, which I assume was like a no compete clause or something there. That's like you can't form a studio for another year. And now he can, and he seems to have done so. But why wouldn't you just stay at Tango Gameworks then?
What do you mean? He had non-compete.
Do your own thing.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I feel like, look, it's hindsight's 2020, and of course, we don't really know what actually went on and where his mindset was at. But I feel like Mikami was someone that didn't really fare very well in as far as the acquisition of Bethesda. I feel like he probably felt like maybe this was the time to kind of step away. I don't know, Mikami. I feel like he just wanted more creative control and kind of to get back into making games again, because it seems like Hi-Fi Rush wasn't really anything to do with Mikami at all. And the last game that he'd worked on was Ghostwire Tokyo, and even that, even though he was involved, he wasn't involved, I don't believe, in like, in a big fashion. So I think he just probably wanted something new and fresh, and to kind of go back to being an independent again, not having a parent company kind of standing over you, and shareholders and all that stuff. So I don't know, I respect the move, and I'm interested to see, what he does or what comes next.
Yeah,
that's somebody that can do it too, right? I mean,
yep, he can ship. He can execute.
He's got an established name. I mean, he could with whatever money he has to start up a new studio. I mean, he could get very little off the ground, approach some publishers, and he'll get funding. A name like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he'll probably have plenty of people want to work with him anyway in like partnership, collaboration, that kind of thing. I mean, isn't Kamiya out there somewhere?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I guess he's going through his non-compete right now as well, I would imagine. So you never know.
Interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I assume it recently formed, so we probably won't hear much from him for a while. I mean, even necessarily put it out there. It just kind of got out there through the website that listed it. So it'd probably be a little while before we hear anything, as opposed to something like Toys for Bob, where for some reason we now know that they signed a deal with Microsoft, and they'll make something. Maybe it is a Banjo game, maybe it's a new IP, but it's interesting to see for Shinji Mikami. We'll keep an eye on him, see if he randomly pops up somewhere to announce his studio, as that's like a trend now, apparently. Okay, so I do want to touch on this very quickly. I feel like we've been over this many times, and it might feel like beating a dead horse, but according to Bloomberg, Takashi Machizuki, the PSVR 2 has actually halted production, or paused production, I guess, as he said, due to just a number of units being stockpiled, and it does just sound like it's just not selling how Sony wanted it to, and so much so that they are just kind of hanging out, sitting on units, maybe hoping to sell them. I just don't see a push from them anyway. So people are questioning Machizuki on this one. Is anyone really like surprised to hear? I wasn't very surprised to hear that this is something that would be happening.
I mean, you can't launch a whole platform basically that isn't backwards compatible and release it with no games except for Horizon, right? Like, it's gonna fail. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Ryan, I want to hear your take on this. You obviously invested in PSVR 2. I know John keeps wanting me to buy one. Even like yesterday, he was up.
Whoa.
But what's up with PSVR 2? What's going on?
I think it's more a victim of VR. I mean, I'm putting it. This feels like another Vita to me unfolding, where, like, I feel like people give Sony a lot of flack for Vita, and it's not like they did an amazing job with Vita, but I feel like they did a reasonably good job for that handheld the first 2 years with shipping first-party games on it, giving it a good price. It's good hardware. This thing's not bad. It's just not. But we're talking about a very niche marketplace. It's tethered to a console. Like, we had that story come out about how MetaQuest was, like, based off Amazon numbers, like it was selling 95% more versus like that was the sales. But like, under what circumstance would that never be that's always going to be the case. One is standalone. It's cheaper. You can use it for a PC. It's got more utility. I think it's the fairest way to look at PSVR 2 is let's benchmark it to the only other console VR, which is PSVR. But we can't really do that because Sony won't tell us. The only thing they did tell us is that initially the launch was good, like it was tracking ahead of PSVR. But they did that right before you could see that sort of sales graph they put out. Like it was already slowing 6 weeks in. So in terms of speaking to shareholders, that was probably the time to put that info out there before they stopped talking about numbers. So I fully believe, yes, they're not selling a lot of them, but I'm not convinced that a ton of first-party games are somehow going to make this thing ship millions. I'm just not.
What about the kind of the rumored PC integration?
I hope that is genuine PC support, as in, Sony puts out whatever sort of driver updates are needed for PC. You pull them, and then boom, the thing's unlocked. I'm not convinced that's happening, but I think that's the best case scenario because it's like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. I think it's within Sony's interest, Meta's interest, Apple's interest. Somebody just needs to get this marketplace moving because at that point it will tip over to PSVR 2. So I think they should unlock it fully. But the problem is Sony still wants to get a software sale. So that means they're only going to be selling the hardware. And I don't think they're either they're breaking even, maybe losing money on it. I don't know. But, if they're not going to collect software sales from it on PC, then I feel like they're going to take this approach of curated content that they're partnering with studios. And maybe it's some kind of deal they either work out with Steam or eventually launch their own, storefront, their own client. If it does, if they're going that route, that's not going to help this thing at all. Unlock it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the assumptions we brought up a while ago, was the idea that it would be a Sony launcher that would be the thing to power it.
There's nothing wrong with that if you want to get into a high margin business, but unlock it too. You got to start moving these things. But I genuinely don't think because it wouldn't even make sense for Sony if they were to say, you know what, Sucker Punch, Insomniac, you've got VR experience, Naughty Dog, let's put all these studios on that. Everyone would hate that. Everyone would be so mad. It wouldn't make sense for Sony. They'd lose a ton of money. I'm not convinced first party games are going to make this thing just successful. It's VR. It's a tough market.
Yeah.
So I believe they're not selling a lot of these things. I believe it's doing very bad, but the other angle of it is they give it plenty of visibility. People don't buy it. It's on the PlayStation blog. It shows up in State of Plays. It gets plenty of third party support. This thing has got an identity crisis. So that's where I sit on it. It's great hardware. It's really, really cool, but it just sucks that this is where it is right now.
Yeah, I agree. The hardware is good. It's VR. They put this thing out as VR is kind of on a downturn anyway. So it's the convenience being with Meta and their Quest 3. It's not helping this thing either. So it's I would have liked to have seen Sony attempted an all-in-one headset, but clearly the idea was to help push the PS5 as well with it, and it's not grabbing on. So unlocking it wouldn't be a bad idea, maybe to move some of the backed up or the stockpiled amounts that they have though. So maybe that's the move. Unlock it for PC, unload what they have, and then kind of move on. So Labo VR equals PSVR 2. Thank you, Medallion. Thank you. Ryan, we also had an update for the PS5. There was something in there that you pointed out that I thought was very interesting at 4:40 in the morning. And that was the idea that they're kind of wading into the side with custom backgrounds a bit. Somewhat, a little bit.
Yes. Well, with custom backgrounds, I'll say I feel like I'm the only one. I think we're going to get custom backgrounds, true custom backgrounds. But yeah, it's for the Explorer tab. Basically, that's all they're doing.
Right. We saw that in your video. It was for the Explorer tab, which is US based only. So you have to be in the US to have that.
Yeah, some people don't know this. It's one of those things where the vast majority of people outside of the United States would just never even know unless you see it in gameplay from another channel or something. But yeah, the Explorer tab's only for the United States. We thought they were going to launch it in other countries eventually, but they just never did. But it's just kind of like a useless page. It was just advertisements for your followed games. Anytime you download a game, that's a followed game on your profile. So there would always be this these tiles of info for games, and there was then eventually they added little widgets for friends and trophies, and it's like, okay, that seems like a good direction, and now they're expanding upon it further.
Okay, it's a beta firmware right now, so we still have to wait.
No, so I guess I wasn't entirely clear about this. I never said firmware in the video. It's just server side. When you log in, you either just you're going to have it, as in there's going to be a tile that says, would you like to try it or not? So I suspect the last firmware, if they needed any kind of firmware change on the back end, it was probably tucked into that last firmware, but it's not a firmware update.
Oh, okay. I should check that. See, I don't know if I have that. I'm not sure. I was part of the beta program stuff with the M2 and when they had all that going, but I don't know if I was necessarily.
I never get the betas. I always have to have somebody give me a code for them. So this was literally just a server side thing. I was shocked that I had it because Sony doesn't want anything to do with me. So I don't know. I think I just got lucky.
He's covering our stuff. You got to get him out of here. Okay, that's interesting. So people out there, if you have PS5, I guess, and you're in the US, go over to the Explore tab as Ryan showed in his video, and hey, see if you have it. Otherwise, though, Ryan did a very good job detailing all the ins and outs of this new server side update in the Explore tab. So go check it out, because that obviously the custom backgrounds, but also the more information around the battery icon, because
I like
the
that
3-bar setup is weird. Does not tell.
I like that. It's such a big ring, so you would imagine that it's going to give you a more accurate idea of how far along your charge level is.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the ring more than the 3-bar. I wouldn't mind that if you press the PlayStation button and it came up with a circle next to your controller headset. I would actually prefer that. So, but it's good stuff. Definitely worth checking out the video with Ryan and the update, and hopefully they get to the point where you can customize more of your PS5 in the future. So we'll see.
Don't think it's going to happen. I would love to be wrong though.
The
people
Xbox
can never.
Handheld.
Oh, sorry. No, people can never tell me where's the theme going to go. All your software is your background.
Yeah, that's true.
It would have to override that, which I guess that's how they would do it. But
yeah, they would just turn off that. But they want to have that, don't they? Because they can push advertisements to you. They can push updates through patches and tell you what's going on in the game, your trophy progress, different ways to keep you immersed.
They don't do that on game pages, though. It's just a screenshot of the game if you previously played it. So it's pulling the image from an activity card, or it's just a standard, background of the game. It's meant to be showing you hey, this is the software that you. I mean, I like that, but it seems very clear to me the design principles of this thing was that they don't want to do themes anymore. The themes of your games. They're pulling a switch. You're not going to get
this. If you can do that, though, it'd be interesting if you can do it for each game that you hover over and highlight. If you could take a screenshot from it and have that come up as the background when you hover over that game. So maybe because they have photo mode and all of this stuff, maybe you could take an image from Spider-Man 2 as an example. When you're swinging through the city, you pan the camera around and get a nice image, and you have that set up as the background when you scroll past it. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Well, we'll see if they decide to expand on that further. We also had news for the Xbox handheld. Actually, this is just yesterday. This was from Jez Corden over on the Xbox 2 podcast. And there is something to this that I actually do think Microsoft is going to attempt a handheld, but he says that I know that Xbox have got handheld prototypes right now. These are new prototypes and not the old ones that were referred to previously. And these are not a cloud handheld. They are fully native Xbox handhelds, as in they would be branded as Xbox. It would be a whole setup, I assume, that would look very similar to your current console and would share your library with Game Pass. And it's interesting to me to hear that they are continuing this. This isn't something that I guess came up and they just backed away from. I think they're developing a handheld. And
oh yeah, how are they gonna get that Series S wattage running on a handheld?
Good question.
And I said Series S, not X, by the way.
Right. Series S. Yeah. I saw there was someone. Let me kind of find it. They did the math and they figured out that it's possible for a Series S now. But I think MVG, this is their play for next generation. I think a handheld's part of it. 2026 holiday.
I mean, you're probably right, but I'm just curious to know how you get 75 watts. And I'm being very, very generous down, compressed into a handheld that has any sort of battery life beyond more than an hour.
I think this thing would have to be honest, like a 2 to 3 hour battery life. And I don't think it would be, maybe it's similar to Series S, but I'm kind of thinking it's like ROG Ally territory now, but they have some sort of because they're working on their own machine learning upscaling solution now, and I feel like it would probably be baked into the system or like the system level for it, and I think that's how they would do it. But I also wonder if it would be tied into the cloud as well in some way. So
they shouldn't do that.
The cloud is a lie.
Screw it up.
Not like that,
is a lie.
But in terms of so let's say it is. Let's say it is a hybrid system like Nintendo, and you can dock it or you can walk around the handheld. When it's docked, it has the ability to call to a server and basically get help, quote unquote, for when docked performance. That was something that was brought up, and I thought about that. I said, well, when you're docked, I mean, let's be real, this thing probably won't have any kind of game cartridge or anything. I think at that point, Microsoft will embrace the digital side, and we might not even have a disk drive next gen with them in 3 years or something, 2 years. So it's interesting to consider them thinking maybe handheld is the way for them, but it's not shocking. Nintendo's shown that might be the way to go for some of these companies, but I think there are a lot of people out there who would buy an Xbox handheld. Actually,
I'd buy one.
I'd probably get one given the right specs and the ability to play native games. I'd definitely check one out.
It would be complimentary, right? It wouldn't. I mean, there's still going to be like a sort of standard home console that's the high power.
I feel like there would still be a box. Yes.
Yeah,
I think
there'd have to be.
Yeah. It's this, kind of an entry point. It's probably I assume it is something where they're waiting for it to be like just not even financially, but technically possible.
Yes,
as MVG points out,
the same games.
There's just like no way they could do that within the next, I would assume, 2 years. But that is technically the timeline we're hearing, is that they want to ship their next round of boxes maybe sooner than when Sony was planning on doing it, which would be around 27 or 28.
What if that's what they've been waiting for? Like, that's why they're like, okay, we're good to go. We can do it. We're going to have a handheld. We're going to have a box. And that's what instead of the Series S being a box, it's going to be a handheld this time. And we're pushing them 2026.
I'll say, I think it's very opportune for, I think, a traditional platform holder that's not Nintendo to do this. Like, it seems like to be a bit of a hurdle for like the ROG or the Steam Deck, where they still feel like PCs in the sense that, sometimes there's a lot of tinkering that you have to do to get mileage out of those games. But that's always the benefit of console manufacturers, as they kind of come up with this highly optimized UI that hides all these things, and the games just run and you don't have to do anything. So right. I think it's within Microsoft and Sony's best interest to explore this further.
That's what I would want, because I have a Steam Deck OLED and I had a ROG Ally for a day, and I get people like to tinker with stuff and all that, but I'm just not a fan of and like a lot of the stuff doesn't run great on deck, right? Like some of the stuff doesn't even run at all, so like actually getting something that would be actual portable system, not a PC shoved into like a portable system, would be cool for me at least. So yeah, I'd definitely buy it if it was like that, right? If it's not like a ROG Ally or not like a Steam Deck, for sure, I'd 100% buy it. Or if Sony did a portable PSP 3 or whatever, I'd buy that too.
You think if Microsoft showed up with a handheld, Ryan, that Sony would be like, hold on, we need one too?
I mean, for Sony, they're always doing this stuff. The question is, does it ship as a commercial product? Like, I fully believe Microsoft's been exploring this for a long time. Same with Sony. Like, even when Vita failed, like, they're always like R&Ding stuff. Mm-hmm. But for Sony, it would probably be like a portable PlayStation 4 and then some native PS5 games that aren't obviously like a crazy looking game or whatever the case is. But yeah, I think I don't know if they'll ship it, but they're messing around behind the scenes as well.
If it runs the same games, why not? I mean, yeah, that might be another profile you have to develop for, but each generation they have two. They have a PS5 and now PS5 Pro, we think, coming up. Last generation, PS4, PS4 Pro. So maybe next gen, maybe we get to the point where visuals are just, what do we do now? Oh, let's make it more convenient. Let's go back to the handheld scene, and it plays the same games.
I always said that Sony wouldn't do another handheld when Jim Ryan was around, but now that he's gone, or he's gone, right? Or he's almost gone.
He's retiring next week.
Next week.
Next week.
I think the slate is clean again for maybe potentially Sony could go back and look at doing a handheld.
Yeah, I would like to see Sony attempt it too. I think Sony, I mean, just from what we saw with the Vita, Sony comes up with some really good nice looking handhelds, good feeling handhelds. They're very slick. So I would like to see what they come up with now with newer technology. So the Vita has aged shockingly well in terms of its form factor and design. So
it is great. Love that system.
I would like to see that. And I had actually a comment here. This is from Charles saying Apple antitrust case is going to be big for entertainment and gaming. Streaming serves and digital market. Places can't monopolize, restrict features content. So this is interesting because it popped up 2 days ago, actually, with the FTC bringing a lawsuit against Apple when it comes to, as in their mind, what they're viewing as a monopoly, specifically with the iPhone and the entire ecosystem and how it's been built up. And this is something I think that's been building for a while, especially with Microsoft and Epic. I mean, we saw it happen with Epic Games. That was a whole thing. But even Microsoft has been expressing their unhappiness with how Apple is treating something like their game streaming service, where they can't actually put the app on their store. And to my understanding, it's because Apple wants to be able to monetize any microtransactions that go through that app, and that would include every single game on Game Pass streaming. So they would have to come up with a curate every single game that goes through there, and Microsoft does not like that. So they want to come up with a store, but Apple won't let them have their store on the iPhone. So now it appears the FTC is basically going to war with Apple over, they've said, the Apple Watch, which apparently only works on an iPhone. I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't know. Ryan, that's correct?
It is.
Yep.
Okay, there it is. Josie, you probably has the watch too. Okay.
It is.
Okay, that's fine. The Apple Pay, that being heavily linked to, of course, your watch, your iPhone. Basically, they're pointing out all the ways that they pull you into the ecosystem and then keep you there. And I will admit, anyone I know with an iPhone does not randomly show up years later with an Android device. So I kind of feel like
I've actually gone back and forth a few times over the years. I started out with this is a while. I started out with BlackBerry, and then I went to Android, then I went to iPhone, then I went back to Android for about 5 years. Now I'm back on iPhone. I may go back to Android though again, but we'll see.
I've thought about going to iPhone next just to see. Like I want to see what this is all about. I've never had an iPhone before, and I've considered it. Like I have, the MacBook Pro, and I've had MacBooks and stuff in the past, but I've never had an iPhone. I thought about it just to see, but now I'm reading this lawsuit, and it sounds like something I should avoid, because it sounds like it's gonna keep you there. It's gonna put all your information on it, and you're just never leaving ever. Now Ryan has the watch. He has the what else you got? You got the Studio, Mac Studio.
I jumped to Apple computers in 2012, so that was when I jumped computer wise. But I had the phones prior. It's weird because foundationally, I think it all comes from iPhone. I don't know a lot of people that would use a Mac, but then they use an Android. You know what I mean? Or they have a phone, a watch, but then, well, I don't know. It's one of those things where, they just pull you in with these very convenient handoff features and things like that. But it's consumer preference. The thing is, the EU has made a lot of progress here, because the EU is what, they had a recent sort of landmark case where
it's the charging port,
well, that, but also having to have multiple storefronts on the iPhone, I should say. The EU got that done. So this is where I want to be. I don't follow this closely enough, so I'm sure there's something I could get wrong here, but it's my understanding that the EU was making a lot of progress with Apple on, just being more consumer friendly and opening up that ecosystem. And now it's finally the FTC's trying to do the same thing here. Because with the multiple storefronts, they're not doing it in the US after the EU thing happened. They're like, okay, we'll do it there.
Right. Yep.
But you know what I mean? Not here. And there's still like the problem with App Store developers trying to add MTX into their apps. And they'll, of course, offer it, but Apple takes that 30% cut. But there's like very specific rules that say you can't point people away from the store to your own website for your own microtransactions, but you can offer them now. So like a lot of developers have just their website, and if you go to their website, they're offering an incentive where like, let's say there's like in-game premium currency or whatever. Oh, if you buy it on our web store, we'll give you a little bit more, but they're not allowed to say that in the app, and they can't put a link in the app that points you to their website. You know what I mean? So they're very protective of their earnings.
I mean, you would expect that from a company that large. They got that large because they were that strict and really cutthroat in business. But I do wonder, because this is also bringing up, if you look in like the lawsuit and some of the stuff they discuss, they do talk about the idea of that walled garden quite a bit. And it did make me think a bit about the consoles and stuff we have now and how they basically do the same kind of thing. Now, Apple got so big that they got the spotlight, but it's something to think about in the future. I don't know if we'll ever get to a position where a box shows up from Microsoft and you can also have a Nintendo store and a PlayStation store on it. But it's an interesting thing to think about with kind of the precedent that could be set. Now, I think they might end up just settling and that'll be it. They'll make concessions, but it's this is going to be a case to follow.
That did pop up already in the Apple versus Epic case. I mean, the platform holders were a little bit involved there where, you know, they were used as an example of like, here's why this marketplace is different. You know, these are the only manufacturers and this is how we do game sales on console. And that's why there's only one storefront there. And so they kind of already went through that. So I'm curious as to if the same talking points are just going to come up or.
Probably. I mean, there'll still be discovery and stuff, I'm sure. And we'll probably get some leaked documents somehow, and it'll be a whole thing. But that'll be interesting. I mean, it'll also, maybe the iPhone ends up looking very different in 2 or 3 years too. So maybe it is time to get in there.
They need to open up. I'll say that. Because if your ecosystem is that good, then people are just going to want to keep using it the way it is anyway. And if there is another storefront, I mean, just open it up, offer it. If you're so confident in your services and your handoff features and, you know, being in that walled garden, then take the walls down and people still won't leave. That's what I think.
I genuinely believe people in Apple would not leave. I watched.
Yeah, as a user, I would absolutely be more happy that we have more options. You know,
I watched. Yeah, if buy $400 wheels, they're not leaving.
Like if there was an official like app on the iPhone for Android watches, like it's available or it comes preloaded, but you're gonna see people just continue to buy Apple watches. Like Apple could certainly, you know, make concessions here, and you know, there's just that audience that's not gonna leave.
Well, it's like the thing with AirPods. You know, like you're gonna buy them, or you can not, but most people buy them if you have an iPhone.
I don't have an iPhone.
I don't have.
You have a MacBook though, right?
I do have a MacBook. Yeah, I do.
You have AirPods, OJ, and no MacBook or Apple?
I don't have a MacBook. I don't have an iPhone. I don't mess with Apple products at all. My wife does though.
Okay, but you don't have AirPods.
No.
Yeah, okay, that was my point. So
yeah, I don't have it. My wife, she loves Apple. I've been trying to tell her just get Android. Like you can get like way better phone that has more features, better. It's gonna last longer. There's all sorts of stuff, and she's like,
"It's the operating system. Debate. It's the operating system. It's so hard to leave."
But it's just Androids are just better. Like the new Samsung is just way better than the iPhone, and I'm like, but she's stuck on that ecosystem. I have my iCloud and my iPad. I bought her an iPad, so she has her iPad.
iPhone's getting Death Stranding though.
You know, so
really? It has Death Stranding.
It has it.
Yeah.
It's not
I don't know how it looks, but it's out.
I get worried about that iPhone. That thing looks like it probably gets really hot, like the backing for it when it's
i15 gets really hot.
Yeah,
it does. Dude. Mine gets really hot.
I keep Pokemon Go open all the time, and it's hot as hell.
I always get the warning. It's Like your phone's
Yeah, I
about to
get that
shut off.
too. And like when I'm at the airport and I want to download some YouTube videos to watch on the plane before you lose the connection, the downloading in the background thing just like cooks my phone. I don't know why, but it just cooks it.
Yeah, me too. I tried to download music, and it's like nothing. It's like 3 minutes of nothing, and it was my phone was burning.
Some comments here to finish up with. Scott says, "What are y'all's thoughts on the really noticeable lack of console exclusives this gen? Would a solution be more indie or AA games?" Consoles. You mean because some of the games are also on PC? True. I guess they're saying like true exclusive. Like it's not on PC.
It's over.
Just okay. So I mean, for Nintendo, they're all there. So there you go. They don't.
You have to emulate them on PC if you want them on there.
Well, okay. In that case, yes, then it's over. You're right.
At higher resolution and quality, it's good.
Well, in that case, yes, it's over. This is from Hellmoon, who says, "What happened to the chill intro music to the stream?" That's because I'm using StreamYard right now, and I have not worked that out. But I need to, because Evan did have some cool music to start with. So we'll work that out. We'll get there. I like being able to put the comments up on the screen so people believe me when I try to read them.
Still do it if we run it through OBS. The only thing I'm worried about is the little thing at the top.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll figure it out. We got you, Hellman. Cyborg says, for handhelds, how do you think Sony would juggle making games for both a console and handheld today when games are so expensive to make? Also, M. Ryan the GOAT.
I wouldn't juggle it. It would be the same game.
That's what it has to be, the same game. Like they have to get to that point. We don't need the Vita PS5 split or something weird.
Yeah.
That's why I say portable PS4. It's the only thing that makes sense. It has to be an existing ecosystem.
I would buy that portable PS4. That'd be awesome. Tijo says, "Do it, John. It's great. Software-wise, I think it's better than Android, and I use the iOS GarageBand and iPad Logic Pro apps in my workflow." Shout out to Tijo.
Plus, Apple will get your whole family sucked into it. It's like my brother, my mom, we're all on the same thing. My grandparents, like everyone.
That's where I'm at too.
Yeah, it's really hard to get out of.
We're invested. iMessage and all that stuff.
Yeah, FaceTime.
Yep.
I'll talk to my family. I'll stick on Android.
It's like we're so invested. You can do all that crap on Android.
Sure, not as good though.
Yeah, you can.
We're sending a message.
No, FaceTime.
And there's
I FaceTime on Android.
I FaceTime my mom all the time. My Android.
The Android,
or there's something called WhatsApp that does FaceTime and does all that.
I'm not gonna get WhatsApp.
No, WhatsApp.
I'm not gonna get it.
It's really. It's
for
actually got way
boomers.
more features. It's not for.
I don't
boomers.
use
for
it.
Boomers.
It's not. I don't use it.
See,
I'm just saying. There's.
That's why MVG's a Gen Xer.
I'm just saying, all this stuff that you guys are saying is easily done on Android.
OJ, it's like a hotel lobby. All right, so they both offer the same thing, but some people like the finishing and furnishings more than the other.
Sure. I'm just saying it's the same thing. That's all I'm saying. It's the same thing.
That's why, but you stay at the same place every time, right? It's just it's a preference thing.
Sure.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm going to go around here as we finish up. I do want to recognize some of the members over on the Spawncast Network with Trent A., William Hogue, Mr. Joby, Joshua Butts, John O., and then, of course, our sponsor for tonight, the Game Orb. Check out their channel down below in the description. You can support the show here as well as all the stuff over on the Spawncast Network at spawncastnetwork.com. Game and Talk, Direct Xbox. Direct Xbox actually in the news this past week or so. A lot of stuff happening there. And I will say, Ryan, people keep calling for a PlayStation-specific podcast, and I keep telling them someday. We'll see, depending on how things keep going with the network. Maybe I can get Ryan out one time and we can do like a test run for a show that appears like once a year or something.
Yeah, I'm adding this into my weekly shows, so I don't know if I can do a third one, but
there you go. Yeah, Ryan, he's all over the place. He's up at 4 a.m. doing stuff. He's here at like 11 at night. It's crazy out here. Actually, Ryan, can you let them know where they can find you?
I appreciate that you're so concerned with my bedtimes, John. It's very sweet of you.
I just see the dedication.
No, I just wake up at 3 p.m. That's the other problem. All right. You can find me at Mystic on YouTube, covering PlayStation news every Friday. And sometimes we do random topics on Tuesday. Thank you for having me as always.
Is there any weird accessory video coming up?
Yes. There's a few things coming up. I got to work through them.
I like the weird accessory ones. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Go over to MVG.
You can find me on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. I have a video coming out on Monday, and Josie and I are going to record our next Zoomer versus Zoomer next week. So stay tuned.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, is there another game on the line? Like, are you guys wagering another game?
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll
you're gonna buy a Dragon's Dogma 2 so you can tell me how it runs on the PC.
We'll let you know, John.
Is it
We'll let you know.
Windjammers? Is it Windjammers?
No, but it should.
Oh, that'd be fun if you hold on. How does this work? Does one person suggest the game and then the next episode the other person suggests the game and you guys go back and forth like that?
I think so.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
Windjammers is a good one. That's a good one. Somebody brings that up.
We've already picked a game this month. We may put Windjammers on the list though.
You got to win Windjammers. That means you got to start training. You got the shirt for it.
I don't need to train for Windjammers.
No one needs to train for Windjammers.
I don't know. It got real serious there in the store when we used to play that.
There was no training there. Still winning.
Yeah. Let me go over to Josie. Where can I find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Josie Well. I'm gonna record with MVG this week, so Boomer versus Zoomer should be out next couple weeks. I had a Donkey Kong video because I beat the first Donkey Kong on the SNES, so you can check that out. And I'm on Game and Talk on the Spawncast network, and we have our own little podcast channel, so check that out as well.
People liked the last episode. They had a kick out of it. You guys just yelled about the Wii for an hour.
My dogs were barking. I'm sorry. Yes, it was a good time, and Celia's on it too. So like, if you like her from the Spawncast, she showed up in the last one, which was pretty good.
Yeah, Celia's been there a bit more often recently. Okay, yeah, good stuff. Go over to OJ.
Yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube. I've got a pretty cool thing that we're doing tomorrow. So if you want to hang out, we're giving away 10 copies of Princess Peach Showtime for some reason. So we're giving away 10 copies at a Switch OLED on the channel Player Essence. So I'll be streaming tomorrow. We'll be giving those games away, plus other things. So it's going to be like a pretty cool like bonus stream that we're doing. I've got probably Princess Peach Showtime review like after 100%. That'll be next week. And I have some other RPG videos. Put out a big video on Dragon's Dogma and other Persona. I got another video on Persona 3 Reload for other stuff. So if you're into RPGs and stuff like that, check out the channel. RPGs and Nintendo stuff. Player Essence on YouTube. Thanks for having me, John.
And Evan.
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, well, not really Twitch so much, YouTube, at Kimrick's Project, Tabletop Games. Hopefully I can start getting some videos out. I've been trying to get some stuff recorded. I got a lot of backlog and B-roll I can start putting together soon.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks everyone for joining. Casual Noob Gamer with some knowledge at the end. Apple less likely to get viruses watching porn. Shout out to Casual Noob Gamer.
My favorite story about that was that trailer, the commercial they put out being like, you don't get viruses on Apple. And then almost within a week, there were just tons of viruses for Apple. It's just no one cared at the time.
I mean, that was the thing. The user base for Apple Mac way back in the day was very low. And
yeah,
now
you write viruses for the things socially that will cause problems. So you write them for business, which was PC at the time.
Basically, yeah. But now you can get viruses on Mac.
Oh yeah.
So,
because they bragged. Good job.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys then.